Happy Tuesday. It's time for coffee and cursey words. I have lots of both today. Because y'all, when I say I did not see this coming, I did not. We had other things to talk about today. My docket was already full. I had pre-planned to move on. But no, there's no moving on. I can't move on. I'm not allowed to move on. There's no moving on because then this happened. This. We're going to talk about what this is because this is the new Clark Swanson versus the Westbrooks lawsuit that they so helpfully mailed to me with a letter asking me to kindly stop talking about everything. But there's no cause, see, for that. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. There's a lot going on today. Y'all. There's a lot going on. Oh, just so we're clear, this is the blank paper that was sent in the exhibits that were attached. And I appreciate the gift of printer paper. This is the actual, 99.9% of this is lawsuit and exhibits. So now we're at three. Now we're at 3 lawsuits and 1 cease and desist. And we're just going to talk about it. So let me know where you're coming in from and what you're drinking this morning. I've got delicious lattes. And we got a lot to talk about. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. Oh, y'all, I'm sure you have all of the questions. So we're going to get into all of the questions. It's good to see everybody coming in. Simply Neological. It's so good to see you, lady. Hello. Oh, girl. We got all the legal. It's so good to see you this morning. There was blank paper. I don't know if it's so I could take notes. It was just randomly filed in here, which was very odd. I have scanned all of this, but we're going to talk about it. The thing that's so interesting is what was attached to the letter that I received regarding, I'll do a quick road so far about how we got here for everybody who's not been watching this since the beginning. But this is a first amended complaint. Yes, I scanned it. I'm not going to sit here like a kindergarten teacher and be like, so on the first day, on the second day, on the third day. We're not going to do that because that just stresses me out and that's really heavy. So that's what we're not going to do. But what we are going to do is go through this, do a quick road so far and break it down and answer questions. I completely forgot to put up the court of public opinion. So that's on social now. And yeah, we're just gonna go. It's so good to see you guys coming in from all over the world. Hello from Jakarta. It's 11 p.m. Well, good evening in Jakarta. It is just a lot. I haven't even had Starbucks this morning normally, but I made a latte. So I'm like, whatever, we're good. It's so good to see you. So what I noticed immediately about what was sent, and I'll talk about the road so far and what I was sent in a minute, is that this is a first amended complaint. That means there is another complaint. So I pulled up the other complaint and I'm going to just show you the immediate striking difference that I see. And then when I have the time, because we are also getting ready to go out of town. When I have the time, we are going to be pulling up the differences between the 2 lawsuits just to satisfy my own curiosity. You guys know I was a research attorney. You know that I have questions, lots and lots of questions. So I'm going to show you the difference and tell you what I thought was strange. So this is of course, I have made it too big. I'm going to have to do it this way. All right. I do things wrong all the time. Technology is fighting with me. Stop it. There we go. The first complaint was filed on June 18th, 2021 at 422 pages. That's a lot of pages. Like, that's a lot. The amended complaint was filed on June 21st at 206 pages. So what do you think my curiosity is? I want to know what was taken out. I want to know what was taken out. What was taken out? I want to know. Hello, Matt Bond. My Pokemon Go Fest was really, really good. I'll talk about, as we get to questions, I'll talk about Go Fest a little bit because I know we're all very curious about what's going on here. The mods have my lipstick shade. I was trying this out to see how it would wear on live stream because I needed something pink with the purple hair. And this is a Givenchy African raspberry with a Gerard Cosmetics nude lip liner under it. So that's what we're rocking. Hello, Amy Yost. 3 lawsuits, 1 cease and desist, and 2 monuments to the gods of speculation. Oh, it's going to be fun. We're just going to get into all of it. It's so good to see everybody here. Hello, allegedly, Angelo. Yes, coffee is good. All right. Let's get into this. So this was sent to me yesterday with a letter regarding me. Oh, wait, we need to do a road so far. Hold on. We need to do a road so far. Let's do a road so far, and then we'll get to what I was sent. That makes the most sense because not everybody. Hi, everybody. If this is your first live, go ahead and throw a 1 up in the chat. And second, what was I going to say? Replay crew, love you. There will be some timestamps below, but we're like a one topic kind of a thing. We're a one topic kind of a thing today. But replay crew, love. Okay. We're going to do a quick road so far and then get into this. The road so far of what I had called SUE NAMI, but then YouTube was like, are you graphically depicting world events? And I was like, no, there's no natural disasters here. So we're like in lawsuit Mageddon, lawsuitception, True Sleuth. Good to see you. We were talking about it being lawsuit inception with the amount of lawsuits that have happened in this case. So this is like season 3 now, I think, of like when a YouTuber goes to court. I don't know. Tati Westbrook, beauty YouTuber here on the YouTubes, got sued by her business partner back in October 2020. And shortly thereafter, she sued a commentary drama T channel here on YouTube called Without a Crystal Ball, and the talking head on that channel, KJ. And then, like this month, she sued Tati Westbrook, James Westbrook, and their companies sued the business partner in Nevada. Well, apparently before they filed that lawsuit, this lawsuit was filed by the business partner against the Westbrooks in their individual capacity in Washington. So now there are 3 business partner lawsuits, 1 YouTube-related defamation suit. That defamation suit settled because there was a settlement agreement. It seemed that there were sworn statements. Those sworn statements all found their way into the Nevada lawsuit saying, hey, we believe this was the Westbrooks putting in the allegations in their lawsuit. In the Nevada suit, we believe that our business partner was feeding disparaging information to a drama channel who was then sharing it on the internet to our business detriment. There had been speculation about that since the twin lawsuits were filed at the beginning with the business partner suit, the defamation suit. Wildness. Now comes another defamation lawsuit filed in the state of Washington. The business partner lawsuit filed in October. The first shot across the bow in this case was filed alleging that the Westbrooks essentially swindled Clark Swanson out of his fair and deserved share of all of Tati's endeavors. That is the lawsuit that started with, this is a lawsuit because of the defendant's greed. That one, the one that kind of kicked off all of the things that we've talked about with these lawsuits. That lawsuit said Clark Swanson had a 50% interest in the company of Halo Beauty and reduced it to a 1/3 interest in Halo Beauty because the Westbrooks promised that he would have a stake in all the things Tati put out. Tati put out an eye palette, the neutrals, volume 1. He didn't get a cut of it. Lawsuits ensued. He threw in all kinds of shade about James Charles and Jeffree Star and James Westbrook as a business owner. And there was all kinds of stuff. The lawyer didn't sign that lawsuit, which always struck me as odd. It was a signed complaint by Swanson, but the lawyer never signed the complaint. There was lots of shade in that complaint because lawsuits, y'all know, when we're talking about these lawsuits, particularly in the sphere of celebrities, lawsuits are allegations and shade. That's it. Allegations and shade. There, because litigation privilege prevents somebody from suing for defamation over what is said in a lawsuit, which means Clark Swanson saying that Tati's greedy and said she could just sell whatever shit to her audience. She can't sue him for defamation over those statements. They're in a lawsuit covered by the litigation privilege. So those are kind of the lawsuits. We had the business partner lawsuit, the Without a Crystal Ball, KJ defamation lawsuit, then the Westbrooks suing their business partner in Nevada, and now the Westbrooks business partner suing them in Washington, though it seems this was filed first. Though, based on the information we have here, it doesn't seem that the Westbrooks have been served with this. And I have lots of court alerts on, but this did not pop up even when I name searched it until I had the case number, which was very helpful. But in the state of Washington, I believe that is because it has not been served on the Westbrooks yet, so it hasn't populated. And I'll tell you why I believe that as we get into why this was sent to me. Clark Swanson's legal team helpfully sent this entire first amended complaint to me, though I would have been very intrigued to have both. But you know, we can't pick and choose. Just the first amended complaint and all of its attached exhibits, because they also sent a cease and desist letter asking me to take down the video where I talked about the litigation document, the litigation letter that the Westbrooks sent to Clark Swanson in this whole thing. So if you remember, the business partner lawsuit's a derivative lawsuit, which means Swanson is suing on behalf of himself and his company, but also suing Halo on behalf of Halo and suing the other owners of Halo on behalf of Halo. There are some certain requirements in a derivative lawsuit. In this lawsuit, they actually call it a settlement letter, but from my looking at it, it looked like to me at the time that these were letters of notice required in California before you file a derivative lawsuit. So it was the letter back from Tati's legal team dealing with that, Gibson Dunn and Mr. Fuchs, who we didn't call Fuchs, because it's spelled fucks, people. Well, kind of almost. Anyway, so from Mr. Fuchs, the letter saying, you know, these are all the reasons why this was done. There is no lawsuit here. There's no misrepresentation here. This is our side of the story in that letter that I covered here on this channel way back in November. So they asked that I take that down, which, you know, if somebody asks to take something down, I will normally have a conversation about it. And that conversation hasn't happened yet, but I will have that conversation and evaluate that. I made the video private for now because, you know, we'll deal with it. We talk about not riling the lawyers. The thing that's so odd to me, though, is the letter that I covered is in this. It's in this. It's in here attached as an exhibit, which means it's now a public record court document. So there's that. There's also some more information in here that says, in addition, you should be aware, and I feel like we've covered the Westbrook side, so this is part of Clark Swanson's side. So in addition, you should be aware that your statements that Mr. Swanson was, quote, feeding information to drama channels to undermine the Westbrooks and to disparage and defame the Westbrooks, which is in the Nevada lawsuit, is set out in your June 17th YouTube video and is false. Equally false is the Westbrooks allegation in their July 9th, 2021 Nevada lawsuit that Swanson repeatedly disseminated disparaging information to Katie Joy Paulson. So they're saying that the allegation that Swanson was feeding information to KJ is false and that any statements about that are false. They also said that all communications between Swanson and Paulson occurred between August 2020 and October 2020, which is interesting because we didn't have a timeline for any of that because it wasn't in the lawsuit and it wasn't anything that KJ shared when she released her We Settled video. All of the information I had a source for, and the source was Clark Swanson. So they're saying in this letter that the information and conversation between Swanson and Paulson occurred long after Paulson's videos disclosing information about the Westbrooks in 2019 and 2020. So it sounds like Clark's team is like, no, she said shit before Clark ever had a conversation with her, which is interesting, and I'm sure will come up more. They say at no time between August 2020 and October 2020, nor any other time did Swanson provide Paulson with, or any other drama channel Well, there was a makeup channel, but that's okay. Any other drama channel, any disparaging or defamatory information about the Westbrooks. I wonder if they're saying that because they're just like, well, no, we believe it's true, so therefore it's not defamatory. So we think it's true information, so that's fine. They said rather, according to Mr. Swanson, and as documented in his emails, it was Paulson that provided the source material for her videos about the Westbrooks to him in August of 2020, nor did Swanson provide a copy of the complaint in the Los Angeles case of Swanson versus Westbrook to Ms. Paulson. Okay, well, she had it before the e-filing, and she knew it was coming. So whether he provided her a complaint copy or not, she knew it was coming because he told her it was coming. And either way, you're allowed to tell people stuff is coming. But whatever. She broke the story, y'all. Remember that. Remember that for posterity. So that is the information we have learned and then covered the new lawsuit. Again, things in public record are public record, open for public comment, because the First Amendment is still a thing. What you can't do is take the information in the document and then say, oh, these things are absolutely true. They're not. They're allegations and shade. It's a lawsuit. And you also can't take them and go, oh, this means that, unless you know what it means. You can't extrapolate facts, but you can talk about the law because those things are still allowed. So should we just get into it? Are you guys ready? Are you ready to get into it? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Should we get into it? Oh, my coffee's getting cold. See, I normally drink it in my other thing, so it doesn't get cold, but then it was coffee and cursey words, and I made coffee in this mug, and I wanted to see how the lipstick did on the mug. FYI. It doesn't say it's a stay fast. We know that it's not. You're ready? You're all ready for this lawsuit. I am too. Let's ride. All right. It's a lot of pages, y'all. It's a lot of pages. But it's not 400 pages because something was clearly removed or exhibits. I imagine it was exhibits that were removed. The nature of the law or the allegations and stuff could have changed a bit because it's a First Amendment complaint, but we won't know until I line through both of them together, which will just take a little bit of time because, you know, it's reading material. Some of it's a transcript of a phone call with the Westbrooks and Clark Swanson. I have to wonder if the phone call was knowingly recorded or not. I have questions about that, but maybe things will get cleared up. Let's ride, y'all. Giddy up. All right, we're going to swipe. Yeah, Tiffany, thank you so much for the reminder. We're going to swipe. I will be back. We're going to do questions, comments, and I will get to super chats after I cover this. So let's just get into it. Let's get into it. The third lawsuit between the Westbrooks and Clark Swanson. Here comes now the business partner to sue the Swansons again. No, to sue the Westbrooks again for, in this case, alleged defamation again. Lawsuits are allegations and shade. These allegations have not been vetted yet. They haven't been to court yet. We don't know the things. We know what we saw. And that's really what we know. We know the things that we've seen, which was why it's so interesting when things play out over YouTube videos, because you're like, oh, I saw the video. It said this. When we're talking about discussions behind the scenes and stuff, we don't know the whole truth of those discussions because, you know, we weren't there. So this is Clark Swanson as an individual against Tatiana Westbrook, James Westbrook, John Doe, and Jane Doe. Summary of the complaint. This case, do you see how it's not, there's no e-file stamp, but there is a case number. I think in Washington, because they haven't been filed, it's not on the automatic system yet. Summary of the complaint. This is a case of a continuous and systematic effort by a YouTube celebrity and her husband to harass and defame their business partner, to harm his reputation and obtain a business advantage. Plaintiff brings this action to obtain relief for the damage defendant's conduct and statements have caused to plaintiff's reputation, loss of business, and for the emotional distress caused by the defendant's actions. Oof. This is not going to end well or quickly. For this is going to just drag on. What's interesting to me, and the first thing I noticed, is that this is filed in King County, Washington, but there is already a suit between these parties in California, the derivative suit. And if this arises out of the derivative suit, then it should be in that lawsuit. However, California has a very strong anti-SLAPP statute, which relates really to strategic action against litigation, against participation in litigation. And there might be a little bit of a choice here to file in Washington, because as we've learned in the other defamation suit, Washington does not currently have an anti-SLAPP statute. Theirs was ruled unconstitutional. So this might be an attempt to get around filing it, but if it's arising out of that course of litigation, it might should, we move to the South, it might should have been filed with the, derivative suit from which it arises. We'll see, and I'll see what you guys think about that as we get in. Let's talk about the parties. This is where everyone puts their resume and talks about how great they are and how much the other side sucks. Plaintiff Clark Swanson is an accomplished startup veteran. Okay. Mr. Swanson had previously served as founder, president, and CEO and director of Blackline Safety Corp, a preeminent accolades, technology company publicly traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange with offices in Canada, the United States, France, and the UK. Swanson also serves as executive vice chairman of, I still don't know how to pronounce Wesbtooks, but that's how we've pronounced it in all of the videos, so we're keeping with that. A company focused on cures for rare cancers, and is a founding member of the International Phytomedicines Institute at Harvard Medical School. Wesbtooks Biotech, under the leadership of Swanson, is entering human clinical trials for pancreatic cancer in collaboration with Harvard Medical School and Johns Hopkins. Most recently, Swanson, as president, CEO, and vice chairman, assembled the Avengers. Assembled the startup team for BlockCap Inc., the world's largest Bitcoin mining operation by publicly reported digital assets mined as of Q1 2021. Oh, the blockchain. Oh, the Bitcoin. Of course there's Bitcoin. Why isn't there Bitcoin? There was a coal tycoon or something in the other one. So why wouldn't there be blockchain? Why wouldn't there be? Swanson holds a degree in economics from Pepperdine University and an MBA from the Graziotto School of Business Management, which is, I think, also at Pepperdine, where he graduated with distinction. Mr. Swanson resided in Los Angeles during the Times material to this complaint in 2019, when his residence changed to Clark County, Nevada. Well, if he resided in Los Angeles during 2019, then is this suit at its heart arising out of the operating facts of the business partner suit that's filed in Los Angeles, in which case this should also be filed as an amended complaint there, but let's go on. That is the thing that is on my mind, the question that needs to be answered. Defendant Tati Westbrook is best known as a YouTube celebrity with millions of regular viewers, who is often known only by her first name, Tati, her Instagram handle @GlamLifeGuru, and her signature Exos, Tati. Her YouTube channel focuses on reviews of cosmetic products and increasingly the drama of being a YouTube celebrity. Do y'all think it's accurate? Does Tati's channel... Ooh, we can put up a poll. Does Tati's channel focus on the drama of being a YouTube celebrity? Is that the focus of the channel? I have questions. Let's see what you all think. Do you think that that's the focus? We're going to put it up in a poll and see what you guys think. All right. On the drama of being a YouTube celebrity. When Halo Beauty launched, Miss Westbrooks regularly posted videos. Miss Westbrooks regularly posted videos were generating on average 27 million views per month, according to the social media analytics website Social Blade. I don't know if that's best evidence for that, but all right. To admit that into evidence, you would need more specific information, but I also don't doubt that she was getting 27 million views a month. It's a lot of fucking views. Miss Westbrook identifies herself on social media as dual CEO of Tati Beauty and Halo Beauty, Tati being the makeup, Halo being the, say it with me, nutraceuticals. Defendant James Westbrook holds 1/3 of the voting shares in Halo Beauty Inc. and has held those shares in the company since its inception. He is also the COO and one of the directors of Halo Beauty. Mr. Westbrook also owns a beneficial interest in the company doing business as Tati Beauty, as well as a beneficial interest in a future venture known only to plaintiff as Tati Fragrance. Also married to Tati Westbrook, but okay. In December 2020, Tati and James represented under penalty of perjury that they reside in Bellevue, Washington. That was in the defamation suit, to the best of my recollect, because in the defamation suit, it said that they resided there because there was so much arguing over domicile and jurisdiction. So in December 2020, Tati and James represented under penalty of perjury in that other suit that they resided in Bellevue, Washington. As of June 17th, 2021, Ms. Westbrook stated that she had sold her Bellevue condo, but remains in the Seattle area. I think the one that they put under penalty of perjury, they included a rental agreement. So I don't know if they had the rental and another condo. Do you remember the rental agreement that was in the all of the filings with regard to jurisdiction and domicile? It was a rental agreement. The dog was listed on the agreement. The dog's name was redacted out of the thing, but there was a whole rental agreement. So if they owned another condo that they weren't living in, I don't know how that is relevant. This is why plaintiff is without further information at this time as to the Westbrooks' true whereabouts. Based on these representation, plaintiff alleges that the Westbrooks reside in King County, Washington. Upon information and belief, John Doe and Jane Doe have availed himself, or herself if you're saying John and Jane, of Washington State by engaging in business in Washington State with the Westbrooks. Jurisdiction and venue. They live in Washington, it's fine. That's what the jurisdiction clause says. They live here. It's all good. Operative facts. Let's get to some facts. I'm fascinated by facts. Let's fact it up. Clark Swanson sued Westbrooks for breach of their fiduciary duties to the business they own together, Halo Beauty, on October 2020. Swanson individually and derivatively on behalf of Halo Beauty Inc. If you want a whole breakdown of derivative lawsuits because you are a law student and you're in business associations and all the examples in class seem really boring, go read that other lawsuit and watch those videos. If you're anyone else, it's one member suing on behalf of the company to the other members of the company in its most basic form. It can get way, way more technical than that. Derivatively and on behalf of Halo Beauty Inc. and affiliated entities sued Tati Westbrook, James. Well, now she's Tati. She was Tatiana earlier. Sued Tati Westbrook, James Westbrook, and their affiliated entities for breach of fiduciary duty and fraud arising out of business opportunities they stole from Halo Beauty to exploit and profit from at the expense of Mr. Swanson. So again, the argument from the Swanson business partner suit being that Tati Beauty should have been under the umbrella of Halo, wherein Swanson should have benefited from everything that Tati goes on to create in the future, not just the nutraceuticals under Halo. We broke that down in that lawsuit at length because the operating agreement that they all signed was attached to that. And I imagine it's attached to this because it says this complaint was filed in Los Angeles County Superior Court, Exhibit A. So it's going to be attached down below. The complaint alleges that the parties met on August 1st, 2017 on Mr. Swanson's patio in Marina del Rey to discuss their plans for Halo Beauty. The Los Angeles complaint describes the meeting. We went through this at length, but we'll go through it quickly again for operative facts and for anyone who doesn't want to go back and watch all of the other videos, which I completely understand. But you can, they're there. Before the name change was accomplished on August 1st, 2017, Westbrook, because I'm going to call James Westbrook, Tati, and Swanson. Westbrook called Swanson and asked if the three of them could meet in person to discuss business. Later that day, the Westbrooks visited Swanson at his home in Marina del Rey. The three of them spoke for 2 hours, mostly on Mr. Swanson's open-air balcony. The Westbrooks asked to re-envision Halo as a new company that planned to be a global all-inclusive beauty brand for, now she's back to Tatiana, for Tati. The plan was to use Halo to deliver a wide range of beauty products personally endorsed by Tati. Tati claimed she wanted to build something gigantic and that the Halo Beauty would serve as an umbrella company. She wanted her brand under one umbrella rather than to just do vitamins. She wanted to expand Halo Beauty, while including a wet line, cosmetics, and skincare. I have no idea what a wet line is. I know what the color cosmetics are, though. We talked about that with the eyeshadow palette. I learned things. I don't know what wet line means. Drinks, alcohol. Maybe it means alcohol. Wouldn't that be great? I don't think that's possible. Wet line cosmetics and skincare. Halo had the potential to expand and become a huge standalone brand. She hoped Swanson was ready to build a brand, not just a bottle of vitamins, but the whole big thing. Westbrook stated that she did not want to be perceived as a spokesperson or celebrity endorser, but wanted Halo to be her company. All of this is in that other lawsuit. The Westbrooks sold Swanson aggressively on the financial benefits of a new all-inclusive brand. E-commerce-based beauty business were being acquired by major brands like Estee Lauder and L'Oreal for eye-popping amounts. For example, Westbrook identified Jeffree Star as a potential advisor and stated that he had been offered $500 million for his cosmetics brand from L'Oreal. Westbrook stated that he thought the company was an all-inclusive brand could reach a $3 billion valuation. Again, all of this is in the original business partner lawsuit. They attached it as an exhibit. I don't know why they are summarizing it within the body of this lawsuit, maybe in case they're worried the court won't read it. Westbrook was a well-regarded YouTube influencer, also touted her clique of fellow influencers as potential sources of promotion. She told Swanson that her friends were among the most influential on YouTube and that they would cross-promote her products. She related that some of them, like Jeffree Star, Manny MUA, James Charles, and Laura Lee, were launching or preparing to launch their own cosmetics. Oh, sweet summer children. The world of 2017. Do y'all remember 2017? Do you remember when there was a beauty community? No, I know there's still a beauty community, but the beauty community of 2017 is not the same thing. What winter was coming, we just didn't know it yet. It was called Dramageddon 1, 2, and Carmageddon. So that's all from the Los Angeles complaint. They go on to say, based on the agreement reached that day and memorialized in corporate minute and bylaws, Swanson invested his time and energy into developing and launching Halo Beauty and their line of nutraceuticals. The products and the business were highly successful. What's interesting to me is that we're multiple pages in, and this all is deriving out of the same operative facts as the other lawsuit. This should have been filed as an amended complaint with the derivative suit because it's arising with the same parties out of the same operative facts at this point. Also, as I recall, we went through the corporate minute and bylaws, and it said that each party was entitled or able or allowed, I'm not the exact word, but they were allowed to pursue things that weren't nutraceuticals, and it left all of them free to pursue things not nutraceuticals. And Clark Swanson had other businesses and Tati had Tati Beauty. So it's confusing to me that they are saying something opposite of what was in that, the bylaws. And maybe the bylaws were attached to the reply, because I think that was one of the issues that I had with the original complaint. It had lots of allegations and shade, but it did not have any receipts attached. And we didn't get those until they were attached in other court documents by the Westbrooks, if my memory serves. But yeah. Despite the successful business in October 2019, the Westbrooks breached their duties to Halo and agreement with Swanson by launching their own line of beauty products, Tati Beauty, without Halo Beauty. The new business usurped the opportunities that belonged to Halo for the benefit of the Westbrooks and at the detriment of Swanson. Again, these all come out of those other operative facts. Before the Los Angeles lawsuit was filed, the parties exchanged settlement communications. Those I thought were derivative demands. They're calling them settlement communications. I mean, I don't know how much it matters for the purpose of this, if it's tomato, or if it's actually, well, no, they weren't really settlement demands. They were, because settlement demands can't really be used down the road the same way, but they were actually derivative notices, which is a different thing. That might be me splitting hairs on the thing, but we'll see. Before the Los Angeles lawsuit was filed, the parties exchanged settlement communications. Swanson's attorney wrote a demand letter and delivered it to the Westbrooks Council, attached as Exhibit B. Douglas Fuchs. See, I told you. Fuchs. It's close enough for the Cursey Words channel. No shade to Douglas Fuchs. It was a good letter. It was very thorough. It was thorough, full of allegations and shade. But the last name just got us at the entire time. Douglas Fuchs, counsel for the Westbrooks, responded in writing to that demand letter on August 28th, 2020, Exhibit C. It's attached. That letter's attached. The letter was littered with untruthful statements that could only have been made up by the Westbrooks in an attempt to explain away the events that resulted in Swanson's disproportionate ownership. I mean, that's their take on it. But this is why things go to court, because people have different takes on facts. Because as I recall, that letter had quite a bit of exhibits, but that is going to be attached. So we'll see if the receipts are there or not. Swanson responded to this letter and called out the most significant and obvious falsehoods in a September 24th, 2020 letter, Exhibit D. All the exhibits. So there might be receipts on top of the exhibits. We'll see. On August 28th, 2020, the August 28th, 2020 letter was filled with false statements by the Westbrooks with the allegations. But if it's a settlement, even if it's a derivative, it's in preparation for litigation. I'm going to keep saying that over and over. The August 28, 2020 letter contains no less than 7 provably false statements of fact. First, the letter falsely states that Mr. Swanson had to borrow half of his initial $200,000 capital contribution from someone else, a fact that he hid from the Westbrooks. Oh, they're going to go through them. Why? Why are we going through each of the state? Okay. This is where the lawsuits cross over between no, I want to answer the thing, and no, this is relevant to the lawsuit, because the statements, even if they believe they're defamatory, are contained in documents that are litigation documents, which means even if they are assuming true that they're defamatory, they're not actionable because litigation. So this could just be a no, this is our side of the story. And we're going to say that they're provably false, but I don't know how Swanson having to borrow his initial capital is defamatory on its face. If it were true, it's a statement. Is the hiding it what they're angry about? Well, let's see. We're going to keep reading and see what they're mad about. To the contrary, Mr. Swanson had acquired wealth through his hard work. Oh, he doesn't want them to make it seem like he doesn't have the money. Who gives a fuck? Apparently Swanson. Mr. Swanson had acquired wealth through hard work, which continues to be demonstrated by his rigorous work ethic and successful business enterprises. Swanson's substantial net worth was easily sufficient to fund any necessary obligations. However, as a skilled businessman, rather than pay taxes on the sale of stock and other assets, Swanson financed part of his contribution and did so with the knowledge and consent of the Westbrooks. So he financed his contribution, which means he borrowed it? So is the false part that he hid it from the Westbrooks? Because they're saying that Swanson financed it and the Westbrooks knew. Why does it matter? No, he is tremendously wealthy and successful. Yet he financed it, which is the same as borrowing it. The words are the words are different, but the meaning is the same. So is the falsity that he hid it? I guess that's what they're arguing, that the Westbrooks knew that he was financing because he didn't want to pay taxes on the sale of stock and other assets, which means he didn't have the liquid capital, which means he borrowed it. Okay. Second, the letter falsely claims that, quote, the Westbrooks were particularly concerned at the time of the August 1st, 2017 meeting because Swanson had disclosed that he had developed an addiction to Klonopin, a highly addictive prescription drug used to treat anxiety and panic attacks, Exhibit C at 3. The statement was false and defamatory. Swanson was never addicted to Klonopin, and he never told anyone he was. Indeed, he took a low dose of Klonopin, which was prescribed by a physician for an ear disorder that caused Swanson substantial tinnitus. Okay, but so he took Klonopin. They said in their letter he was addicted to Klonopin. So are they saying that the Westbrooks knew that he was on Klonopin through osmosis, or did he tell them? I don't understand. Okay. Is the addiction part the defamatory part? Maybe? Okay. Third, the Westbrooks falsely state that on August 1st, 2017, the meeting, Miss Westbrook expressed dissatisfaction with Halo Beauty's lack of progress, Exhibit C at 3. They say rather than dissatisfaction, Tati praised Swanson, stating, "You guys are doing the work right now. You're involved. I see you working. I know you're working." Both could be true, though. I don't know if one disproves the other, because like, I see you working. Can we keep moving faster? I could see both. I could see both of those statements. They're saying it's false. I could see those things existing together in the span of a, what did they say, 2-hour conversation? Fourth, the letter falsely states that on August 1st, 2017, again, if this is all coming out, I can't get over it. If this is all coming out of the operative facts from the conversation with regard to the derivative lawsuit, then all of these beefs should be brought in the derivative lawsuit, not in Washington. So how is this not just an attempt to get around being in LA with the stronger anti-SLAPP statute? And that might actually not even be in LA, because there's a motion to move that to Nevada. So if that moved to Nevada, then this should move to Nevada with it, because it's all the same operative facts. I'm waiting for different operative facts. The letter falsely states that at the meeting in 2017, Tati expressed she was ready to leave Halo Beauty. They say this statement did not happen. Instead, Tati stated she was fine with the current ownership, but only if she could launch other products under separate businesses. Their lawsuit is saying that she was fine with the ownership if she could launch her products under separate businesses. Isn't this all over her launching products under separate businesses? So where I'm at is fine. If I'm 25% of this business, that's fine. I'll shill the vitamins, they say, she says. I'll put my name on it, but I'm going to fucking launch other products too. Where I would feel more comfortable is if this was an actual brand where I felt like I'm part of it. Okay. I mean, context. Fifth, the letter falsely states that at the meeting, Westbrook James agreed to take over the company's business development and day-to-day operations in exchange for becoming an equal partner. In reality, Swanson is alleging that the Westbrooks sold themselves to Swanson as a package. James would be compensated in equity from Halo Beauty. In exchange, James agreed to the inclusion of cosmetics, skincare, and other products under the Halo Beauty umbrella. This is going along with their argument in the other lawsuit that Swanson was told if you reduce your shares from 50% to a third, that everything will be under here. This is just reiterating that argument. They say, truthfully, Mr. Westbrook did not accept any new responsibility and stated that Tati stated that Westbrook and Swanson were already doing the work. Again, I don't see those as mutually exclusive. They're quoting something, Exhibit E at 9, saying, that being said, I need to know I'm part of this because I feel like my name's going to be on the bottle. I built my entire career up to this very important point. I feel left out. I feel like I'm not even a part of this. Yet what I would be bringing forward, you guys are doing the work right now. You're involved. I see you working. I know you're working. But when this launches, the person that is going to light that flame and make this be fucking success, that it's going to be, that's on me. That's me. That's my peers. That's the powerhouse pack that I walk with on YouTube. 2017 being a thing. That's what's changing the world, changing the industry, changing everything right now. Again, I don't say those as mutually exclusive, but James could have, I don't see those as mutually exclusive either. Like, none of these things are me going, yes, I see what you're saying yet. I'm waiting for that where I go, yes, I see what you're saying. The letter also states that at the meeting, in consideration for restructuring the partner's equity share, Swanson was relieved of his responsibility of running the day-to-day operations. They're alleging to the contrary. Swanson was praised in the meeting for his skillful management of day-to-day operations And Tati acknowledged that if she reduced her schedule of uploads to less than 5 days per week, it would be to the grave detriment of Halo Beauty. The difference of what I bring to the table, if I go to 3 days a week because I'm tired, the ship sinks. I mean, I know a lot of YouTubers who feel that way. Those are YouTube words. Exhibit E at 19. Despite the false allegation that Swanson was relieved of his duties, it was Tati who unilaterally withdrew her online support for her brand for over a year to the extraordinary detriment of Halo, whose sales have plummeted by 80% from their peak. I wouldn't doubt that because yes, Tati took time off during the after Bye Sister and during the pandemic. It'll be interesting to see if this lawsuit gets that far, how they parse what was a natural slowdown because of the pandemic and what was damage because of no new products and what was damaged because of Tati not advertising on YouTube. It will be interesting to see. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. 7th, the letter falsely claims that Swanson's assertions that the restructuring of the partner's equity was in exchange for Halo Beauty becoming Westbrooks' exclusive channel for all things beauty is categorically false. There is no email, document, or other single piece of evidence validating this baseless claim. Simply put, this did not happen. Oh, I lost which he said, she said we were in. They said that the letter said that Swanson's assertion was false, and they're saying, you saying what I said was false is false. Okay. The tape, apparently there's a tape. Is it an actual tape or is it a digital recording? But the tape, go to the tape. The tape shows that Tati negotiated for additional equity in exchange for the commitment to launch all her beauty products through Halo Beauty. For example, at the August 1st meeting, Tati said, we already talked about this. I feel like I'm a part of it. If I'm 25% of this business, that's fine. Where I'd feel more comfortable is if this was an actual brand where I feel like I'm a part of it. Then there's ellipses, meaning there's context removed. Then Tati continues, I've not even talked to you about this. I trust you. I trust you. I want to build a great brand. Now my name's on it. I need really smart, capable people that are going to help me expand to help all of this happen. And whether it's into wetline or cosmetics or skincare, there's so much that we can tap into. And I would prefer that it's under an umbrella than just do vitamins and then me go over here. So I think that's added value to the table as well. Well, that sounds like a conversation that's happening. Tati said, I'm 100% good to shut that conversation down if we're all in agreement, if we all feel good about it. I will be much happier than before, and I know you will be. I hope you'd feel like we're ready to build a brand. Swanson, yeah, all right. Tati, not just a fucking bottle of vitamins, but the whole thing. Swanson, yeah, if we're going to do it that way, I agree. That's an if we're going to do it that way, I agree. I still think look, my perspective on all of this, and we'll go through everything they say in here, but if that's their agreement, we went through the restructuring of the corporation and none of that is in those formal corporate documents. So whatever they discussed in a corporation or whatever they discussed in a meeting could then be discussed again, could then be changed. But Swanson was the corporate secretary who memorialized it. So if he had this understanding, my biggest question remains, why wasn't it in the corporate documents if this is the understanding? And I think a court will say, look, the operative facts here are that you can have whatever conversations about business you want. We can talk about, all being billionaires and launching ourselves into space, because apparently that's all that bored billionaires do these days. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Because I see where they're going with this, but why wasn't it then memorialized in the operating agreement that we reviewed in other videos, which hopefully is attached, and we'll go to that part. James represented the plan for Halo Beauty to be the umbrella for Tati's beauty products. James Westbrook, I think he would. I think he will do it. He's the counter argument to what you guys are saying. There's no context for who he is. If you guys disagree with it, I'm with you. Halo Beauty Nutraceuticals, Halo Beauty Skincare, Halo Beauty Cosmetics. Halo Beauty is the umbrella. Tati, James Westbrook, but nutraceuticals is the line. That's right. Skincare is the line. That's right. Cosmetics is the line. Yeah. Again, it feels like a conversation. Upon receipt of the August 28th, 2020 letter from the Westbrooks and their lawyer, Fuchs, Swanson was disappointed that the Westbrooks would flat out lie so much in their letter. Okay. Nonetheless, Swanson tried one last time to convince the Westbrooks to come clean and acknowledge the truth. This time, he told the Westbrooks that their statements were provably false because he had the audio tape of the meeting that occurred on his patio in Marina del Rey. I wonder if that was then surreptitiously recorded without consent by the way that that's worded. I have questions. Swanson included the above quotes from the tape and audio clips to prove their accuracy. Exhibit D. The Westbrooks, unashamed despite being confronted with their lies about Swanson, continued to refuse to acknowledge the terms of the agreement with Swanson. The Los Angeles complaint followed on October 22, 2020. The Los Angeles lawsuit threatened to be the final nail in the coffin of Westbrook's YouTube career. The Los Angeles lawsuit attracted the attention of various YouTube celebrity commentators, including Insider. Wait, is this a list? Is this a list of YouTube commentators? I don't feel like this. What? Attract the attention of various YouTube celebrity commentators. Yes, including. So this is these are now these are YouTube celebrity commentators. The Insider. Hey, everybody at Insider, did you know you were YouTube celebrity commentators? I mean, maybe they mean media outlets that commentate on YouTube celebrity, because the way I'm reading this sentence, and maybe it's my understanding of like grammar, is the way I'm reading this is they mean YouTubers who are celebrity commentators, not media outlets that comment on YouTube celebrity. I'll stop hashing it. It just gets confusing. Including Insider, Yahoo, MTV, Daily Mail, and dozens of other outlets around the world. The media attention was overwhelmingly negative towards Miss Westbrook. Miss Westbrook's subscriber base went into a nosedive. Well, the lawsuit started with, this is a lawsuit because of the defendant's greed. So I can imagine the negative reporting that happened at the time. The lawsuit came at a time when Westbrook's reputation and career were under severe pressure due to her defamatory statements about a competitor, James Charles. Here we go with Bye Sister. Here we go. This is just rehashing everything that's in the last lawsuit so far, meaning that this should have been a part of the last lawsuit, in my opinion. The lawsuit came at a time when Miss Westbrook's reputation and career were under severe pressure due to her defamatory statements against competitor James Charles, though James Charles never sued over those. Just 5 months prior, Westbrooks publicly accused James Charles of sexual misconduct in a YouTube video titled Bye Sister. That video was viewed over 50 million times. Westbrook gained 4 million subscribers in the week following that video and boasted an all-time high of YouTube subscribers, over 10 million as of May 2019. The YouTube community called it Dramageddon. Accurate. That was actually, wasn't Bye Sister Dramageddon 2? That was Dramageddon 2. Not accurate. Withdrawn. Rephrased. That was Dramageddon Dos. Because Dramageddon 1 was the, like, Manny MUA is a bad friend, which now doesn't even rate as drama anymore, I don't think. Charles responded to her accusations with what the YouTube community began to call receipts. No. Lawyers who don't watch enough YouTube. No. The YouTube community did not just begin calling them receipts at that point in time. They had... Okay. Drama commentary channels everywhere just cringed. They were called receipts well before May 2019, but all right. James Charles responded to her accusations with what the YouTube community began to call receipts, or proof of where he was and what he said. Charles's receipts showed that the most damaging of Miss Westbrook's statements in the video were not truthful. Charles posted his video titled No More Lies. Why are we rehashing Dramageddon? Oof. Because look, why put this in a lawsuit? With everything that's going on with James Charles currently, why rehash Bye Sister in a new lawsuit to make it look like, maybe to make it look like Tati's a liar, I suppose, but why rehash Dramageddon with everything else that's going on with James Charles in the YouTube community? Like, okay, fine. I see you all asking for the red lights. This bringing up Bye Sister again is the red light. Why? Why does this lawsuit not just get to the point? There's no point. We're just rehashing everything that's in the other lawsuit and rehashing half of what's in like the motion to dismiss from KJ. This is what was in the murderous conspiracy motion to dismiss, was rehashing Bye Sister and being like, you lost it for yourself, Tati. I don't know. I don't know why we're rehashing this again. God. Okay. Why? Oh, you guys, the poll is complete with 21,000 votes. Does Tati's channel focus on the drama of being a YouTube celebrity? 87% of you said no. 12% of you said yes. Thank you, chat, for participating in our poll. I'm sure another one will come up as we move on. The Court of Public Opinion has ruled that Tati's channel does not focus on being a YouTube celebrity. All right. Let us continue. Receipts. No More Lies. No More Lies was seen over 51 million times. Miss Westbrook lost 200,000 subscribers in the following weeks, and her career subscriber count has continued to decline to her present 8.85 million subs. I imagine it's on an uptick since she started posting again, but this was posted in June. When did chat, help me out, investigative chat, when did Tati post 1 year later? Can you throw the date in there? Because this was filed... I had to pull up the court document to see when it was filed. I'll pull that up in a second. Tell me when 1 year later was filed. I've got questions because I wonder if this was filed. Well, let's just keep going. I wonder if this was filed after it. Although she previously posted 5 days a week after Carmageddon. Wait, you called it Dramageddon? Oh, here we go. It was seen over 51 million times. Westbrook lost 200,000 subs in the following weeks. Her subscriber count to a present 8.85 million. Mr. Charles' video and the YouTube community's response was nicknamed Carmageddon. I mean, there was more to Carmageddon. Shalene Anderson, the video was posted June 17th. Okay, so 1 year later was posted June 17th, and this lawsuit was filed June 18th. All right. Although she previously posted 5 days a week after Carmageddon, Westbrook began to withdraw from YouTube. She began posting only 3 times per week. I don't remember ST Hudson. Yes, receipts does come from drag, but like well before this. I think she went down to posting. This is just my YouTube memory before this, but okay. She began posting only 3 times per week, then twice per week, and then until recently failed to post for over a year, despite recognizing the severe business impact that would result. Even worse, Westbrook did not defend the truth of her statements. Instead, she waited over a year until June 30th, 2020 to respond publicly to James Charles. When she did, rather than taking responsibility for her conduct, she claimed that she had been duped by sophisticated manipulators, YouTube personalities Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson. I mean... I think the YouTube community thinks that that Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star are manipulative, but that's my opinion based on what I think that the YouTube community thinks. And the chat is saying Tati went from posting 5 days to 3 days before Dramageddon. I thought so too. According to her, Tati, these people gave her false information and weaponized her to attack Charles. Ms. Westbrook went so far as to threaten legal action against her alleged manipulators. The video was posted on YouTube. Wait, that's breaking my silence. Just call it what it is. You've called the other things what they are. There's a footnote that I missed. What does the footnote go to? Sexual misconduct. I missed the sexual misconduct footnote. Sexual misconduct is a charitable term. Ms. Westbrook's allegation relied on homophobic tropes and stereotypes about turning straight men gay. Is that a line directly from the KJ motion to dismiss? Because I feel like that was in the murderous conspiracy motion to dismiss. Why are these lawsuits so intertwined? Everyone's using each other's work, it feels like. It's a joke. The language is being recycled. Oh my. Why are we rehashing all of this? Just why? Why? Okay. The video, I think that is by No More Lies. No, not No More Lies. Breaking My Silence. The video was posted to YouTube and viewed over 64,000 times in the first hour. The video had little impact on Westbrooks' subscriber base. Already reeling after being caught lying and subject to the real legal risk from falsely accusing a competitor of sexual misconduct. Well, that's all really speculative, because that's assuming what Tati is feeling. But okay, the Los Angeles complaint could not have come at a worse time for Miss Westbrook's YouTube career. Isn't that kind of what they're alleging, though, that in the business partner suit that Clark was kind of striking out against the Westbrooks? Doesn't that like play into the Westbrooks version of events here too, saying, yes, you were working for the company, you were, we think, the Westbrooks, working against the company? And doesn't this kind of say that, though? Doesn't this say, yes, with everything going on, the complaint came at a terrible time to further damage the company? Isn't that what this is saying? Even worse, the Los Angeles complaint made Carmageddon worse for Miss Westbrook because it described her likely motive in defaming James. Oh God, it says sugar bear hair. This lawsuit needs its own bingo card. Why are we rehashing all of this? Even worse, the Los Angeles complaint made Carmageddon worse. The Los Angeles complaint revealed for the first time that the Westbrooks expected James Charles to turn down promotional opportunities that competed with Halo. Charles upset that expectation when on April 22, 2019, he promoted a hair, skin, and nail supplement called Sugar Bear Hair that compete directly with Halo's flagship hair, skin, and nail supplement. On May 10th, 2019, Westbrook responded by breaking rank with Charles, a longtime friend and mentee, and publicly accusing him of the misconduct just days after the Sugar Bear Hair promotion was posted. The Westbrooks spoke, we're back to 2017. It's like, doodle-doo, 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 that James Charles would turn down competitive promotions. That was in the other lawsuit. James Westbrook said, well, see, this is the thing. We've got Jeffrey, Manny, and Laura and all. Jeffrey already has his cosmetic line. He's expanding it. Manny's getting ready to launch his Lunar Beauty. Laura is getting ready to launch theirs. Tati is the #1 beauty product guru in the world. They have to have her endorsement on everything they launch. People lean on it. People aren't going to buy it. They're going to be, Tati, what do you say? So if Tati is going to give her blessings on their products, they're going to give their blessings on Tati's products. This was all really alleged in the other lawsuit too. So if Tati is going to give her blessing on theirs, they're going to give their blessing on hers. So you have the magnitude, the three of them together, they're huge. But that's not talking about James. That's talking about Jeffrey, Manny, and Laura. This is talking about Jeffrey, Manny, and Laura before Dramageddon happened, and then there was no way that trifecta was ever doing anything together again. Tati's going to get the biggest push because it's her product, but you add in those other three, you're putting a 2x on top of her efforts, and then you have the 4 together. It's going to waterfall down to be, a wave of influencers across the influencers. And that's another 2 or 3 times it comes on top of that. So I think we're going to be really busy. Swanson says, okay, got it. James says, Jeffrey, his name is spelled so many different ways in these lawsuits, but Jeffrey sat at our dining room table saying that Sugar Bear Hair offered up to $200K for a video. And he's like, why shouldn't I take it? And we were like, we have Laura, Manny, James, and Jeffrey there. And we had to tell the group, okay, this is why you shouldn't do it. We're launching a brand. It's a hair, skin, and nails vitamin. Clark Swanson, you want to say Sugar Bear was amazing, 5 stars, and this one? No. Tati no, and they all turned it down. And now Sugar Bear Hair is kind of going, what the fuck is going on? Because they have heavy affiliations with Kardashians. They're mega successful, mega fucking successful, and it's a bullshit product. People keep buying it. I think they wanted to include that just because they wanted to include Tati calling Sugar Bear Hair bullshit, because really it's absolutely, this is all hashed out in the other lawsuit. This is very repetitive on the other lawsuits. The Westbrooks respond to the Los Angeles complaint. More defamation. The Westbrooks sued the YouTube commentator who broke the Los Angeles lawsuit. Y'all broke the story. Broke the story. Don't you forget it. Broke the story. It's in multiple legal documents. I can't say that makes it true because we know it's in legal documents. Is what? Allegations and shade. Say it with me. I feel like it's a new tagline. Like Days of Our Lives. Lawsuits are allegations and shade. The Westbrooks sued the YouTube commentator who broke the Los Angeles lawsuit. On October 30th, 2021, only 10 days after Swanson filed the LA complaint, the Westbrooks sued a YouTube personality, KJ Paulson, for defaming them. Case number. The lawsuit was filed 2 days after Paulson uploaded a video to YouTube titled, "I Was Right About Everything," a huge story coming on Tati Westbrook, and alleges that KJ, quote, devoted numerous hours of content on YouTube and numerous Twitter posts to discussing the LA complaint. I mean, she wasn't the only one. The lawsuit against KJ was dismissed for lack of personal jurisdiction on March 15th, 2021. They put no information in there about the settlement video. The Westbrooks published a private letter they sent to Mr. Swanson. In addition, the Westbrooks published a settlement letter. Again, I think it was a derivative complaint, but whatever. To Mr. Swanson, written by Doug Fuchs, their lawyer in the Los Angeles lawsuit. The letter from Fuchs was dated August 28th, 2020, was written in response to pre-litigation settlement demand made by Swanson, or derivative demand, but yes. Plaintiff is informed and believes, and thereon alleges, that on August 28th, 2020, the letter was published through a different attorney, Michael Saltz. Hello, there is Saltzy. Saltz was the attorney representing the Westbrooks in their case against KJ. According to a YouTube legal commentator, hi, I'm a YouTube legal commentator, Emily D. Baker, she received the letter from Tati Westbrook's lawyer, whom she called to discuss the defamation case. Well, that's not entirely accurate. I called to ask about, diversity jurisdiction, but either way, according to Baker, after discussing the defamation case, no, just the one question, she asked the lawyer for a comment on I asked for a comment on the Los Angeles suit. True, that's what I said in my video. The lawyer said he could not really speak to it and provided Baker with the August 28, 2020 Fuchs letter. Ms. Baker published the letter on to the YouTube community, and the video has been viewed over 246,000 times. Oh, cool. Look, it's linked. Lawyer reacts. Yes. That's from November 7th, 2020. This false publication, well, it's not a false publication. It's a publication of a letter that you think contains false statements in it, but it's not a false publication. It's a letter that contains things. Was repeated by numerous other commentators on YouTube and other media. 3, let's see who else. T-Spill, Tati Westbrook exposes the truth about her lawsuit November 10th, 2020 with a link. Truth Sleuth, Tat and James Westbrook respond to Halo Beauty lawsuit December 23rd, 2020 with a link. Y'all linked, viewed over 22,000 times. Angelica Oles, Tati finally responds to her lawsuit against WOACB, and it's shocking. Well, that's probably not about the business partner lawsuit, December 25th, 2020 with a link, viewed over 354,000 times. Oh, here's a year later. Let's see why a year later isn't a footnote, because I imagine we're getting there. The Westbrooks public defamation continues. Now we're finally into something new. I still think this should be a part of the other lawsuit. On June 17th, 2021, Westbrook published a video on YouTube titled "A Year Later." Oh, see, I didn't need to ask the chat about the date. There it is. This was filed the next day. In this video, Westbrook states, quote, "I was recently informed that Clark Swanson had been feeding information, disparaging information to drama channels about myself and my husband, my family, info about beauty, Halo Beauty, financials, pipeline of product launches." At 5, Westbrook stated Swanson was guilty of sabotage at 6. And so they link a year later and then timestamp it. Timestamps are always appreciated. Despite having fed information to, quote, drama channels about Mr. Swanson, his medical history, and business endeavors, Westbrook admits that this information is, quote, the kind of stuff that should never be shared under any circumstances, quote, footnote 7 at 7:30 in the video. According to Tati, Swanson was, quote, pushing this information out since spring of 2028. This statement is false. Timestamp. Mr. Swanson has suffered and continues to suffer significant reputational damage and injury from these false statements. And now we're into the cause of it. It just stops. This statement is false. Oh, okay. But okay, so is spring the issue? Because this says he had conversations with KJ between, what does it say? Hold on. Let me see. There was a timestamp. Where did I put it? What does it say? Between August 2020 and October 2020. So is that more fall then? Causes of action: defamation, libel. Starting on or about August 2020 and continuing to present, defendants published false statements about Mr. Swanson's character and professional reputation. The statements were unprivileged. Defendants knew, or in the exercise of reasonable care should have known, that their statements were false or would create a false impression. Mr. Swanson is not a public figure. Huh. Really? Mr. Swanson's not a public figure? I mean, I think they're going to be arguing about that, because Mr. Swanson in this lawsuit said that his lawsuit against the Swansons were picked up by worldwide media. What was the exact quote? They talked about everyone that covered the story. So even if Swanson is not a public figure in the greater sense of the word, like clearly he's not a Tati Westbrook figure, but the lawsuit attracted the attention of various YouTube celebrity commentators, including E! Insider, Yahoo, MTV, Daily Mail, and dozens of other news outlets around the world. That would at least make him a limited purpose public figure with regard to his relations with the Westbrooks. So even if you say he's not a public figure in the broader sense, he would be a limited purpose public figure for his involvement with Halo Beauty, the Westbrooks, and these lawsuits, which this all stems out of that, which is why it should have been filed as an amended complaint in Los Angeles. But we continue. Defendants acted with malice. They knew the defamatory statements were false or acted with reckless disregard for their falsity when they made them and published them. Defendants' false statements impugned Swanson's professional reputation and caused him significant personal injury, including affected his ability to pursue his business relationships. The whole top of this lawsuit lists all of his business relationships. It didn't list anything that was damaged. I mean, at least in the cease and desist that we talked about with CoffeeZilla, it talks about Phase K being like, I got kicked out of Phase Clan. At least there's like, even though I don't think the two are necessarily related, at least there's some like, this is the harm. We haven't seen the harm listed yet. What we saw was a litany of businesses that he's running in the beginning, and nothing saying, and I've lost those positions, lost those opportunities, nothing tying back to any harm. But okay. Defendants' action have approximately caused and continue to cause damage to Swanson, including reputational harm, loss of business opportunities. None of those were listed in the facts, and emotional distress and amounts to be proven at trial. But none of those were listed in the operable facts. All the operable facts in this case seem to say, Tati's a liar and she sucks. Like that's what they keep saying in these facts that are rehashing the facts that are in the other lawsuit. And this should be a part of that other lawsuit. Second cause of action, false light. Plaintiff realleges all the shit above, stating on or about August 2020 and continuing to present. Defendant published false statements defaming Swanson's character and professional reputation. Significantly, defendants published statements that he hid his financial solvency from business partners, that he was addicted to drugs, and that he improperly revealed business information to third parties. These false light statements can't cast Swanson in a false light that would be highly offensive to a reasonable person. Defendants knew that the statements and the false light in which Swanson would be placed were false. So is he alleging that James just like made all this shit up? I guess that's what they're alleging. That James just made it up maliciously is really what he's trying to allege here. And that he the improperly revealed business information to third parties, that's going to be it either did or it didn't, because we saw the Nevada lawsuit. So it did or it didn't. It did or it didn't. That one's going to be, whatever KJ says he told her, whatever's in their emails between the two of them, it happened or it didn't happen. The addicted to drugs, again, either that conversation would have happened with the Westbrooks, or it didn't, or they knew that, or that was speculation on their part. So that's going to get into it. But again, all those statements were made contained within litigation documents for the purposes of litigation. So I don't even know how you get to false light, because I don't know how they get past the fact that if they're saying in this lawsuit that they are settlement agreements, then settlement agreements are clearly in the course of litigation and preparation for litigation. So I don't know how they get around that those statements were all made within the confines of that letter, not within Tati's video. So let's see how they tack on the statements in the video that they illuminated, because this stuff from the August letter is all under litigation. Invasion of privacy. Plaintiff has a right to privacy. Defendants have given publicity to Mr. Swanson's private matters. Specifically, defendants gave publicity to Swanson's prescription drug use. One's medical history is a matter that a reasonable person would find highly offensive if published. Swanson's medical history is not a legitimate concern to the public. Defendants have proximately caused harm. How would they know, though? Like, this doesn't allege anywhere that the Westbrooks use their business relationship to like look at his medical records. Like, but how would they know, though? Because it's not an invasion of privacy if the conversation happened between Swanson and James, because we know from all these lawsuits that they were friends before all of this shit. And so if they had that conversation, then it's not an invasion of privacy if somebody told you the thing. But there's no allegations in here that I'm sure we would see, or I would hope that we would see, if like James used his position with the company to like call up the medical providers and be like, hey, can you tell me what's going on with this guy? Like, that would be alleged, and that would also be a HIPAA problem. That would also actually be a legitimately large problem, but none of that's alleged here. So how would James Westbrook know that he was on Klonopin if Swanson didn't tell him? And if he told him, then it's not an invasion of privacy. And if he got the information another way, then why isn't that alleged in here? We want to see that information. I have so many questions. There's so many lawsuits, y'all. Civil conspiracy. Plaintiff realleges and incorporates as alleged in detail above, John Doe and or Jane Doe and the Westbrooks acted in concert to destroy Westbrook or Swanson's reputation by defaming him. John Doe and Jane Doe and the Westbrooks entered into an agreement to accomplish the conspiracy to destroy Swanson's reputation and worked in concert to do so. John Doe and or Jane Doe and the Westbrooks acted on each other's behalf in furtherance of the conspiracy. What were the acts? What were the defamatory acts? I guess they're alleging, I don't know, the video, the letter, the conversation. John Doe and or Jane Doe and or the Westbrooks conspiracy was the proximate cause of harm to Swanson, including the destruction of his professional reputation and other damages. But they haven't alleged a destruction of his professional reputation. They alleged what a great and prominent businessman he was all up in the beginning of this lawsuit. But they didn't say what harm, like they don't allege any harm in this entire First Amendment complaint at all. I'm confused. Prayer for relief. Enter judgment in favor of plaintiff on all counts, order defendants to pay damages, and award plaintiff all costs and expenses incurred, including attorney's fees and costs. Grant plaintiff such other relief as the court deems equitable. Okay. Exhibits. Receipts. Receipt A, the LA lawsuit. Y'all, we've been through it. We're only looking to see if they attached, but I don't think it was attached to this lawsuit. The business, the operating agreement. I think the operating agreement was attached. Hold on. Because I like it so much. We're just going to real quick. This is a lawsuit caused by the defendant's greed. Allegations and shade. Like I said, I should swoop this so we can timestamp that we're on to the exhibits. Receipts. We're on to the receipts. The LA lawsuit we've covered thoroughly. Let's see. I'm curious to see if the actual agreement is here, because I don't remember it being attached. I remember it being quoted. Let me see if it's quoted. I don't see it being quoted. It was attached to one of the response documents. I don't think it was attached here. Oh, here we go. Swanson said that this is just because I want you to tell me what you think. Swanson sent an email following the conversation, memorializing the conversation. The email states in part, on August 1st, 2017, we arrived at a new understanding and agreement between the partners as follows. Swanson will reduce his equity ownership from 50 to 33.33. The partners agreed that James and Tati will collectively own 66.66. The new ownership thereafter agreed will be divided in equal parts, being that Tati Westbrook is owner of 33, James owner of 33, and Clark owner of 33. It is agreed that the goal of the partners is to build an exclusive global beauty brand. The brand will develop and manufacture products for the beauty industry. We will initially begin with the launch of a food supplement line of business currently contemplated to be comprised of 5 different products: calming, stress relief, weight management, hair, skin, nails. The first product line launch is the hair, skin, nail booster. The product, aptly featuring Exo's Tati, will be promoted by Tati Westbrook on YouTube. Additional consideration was made to other channel proprietor promotional efforts, particularly those that are within the business relationship network of Tati Westbrook deemed product collaborations with other leading YouTube influencers. But it's still not clear. I can see how it can be argued both ways, that global beauty brand means all things or that it means nutraceuticals. But the articles of incorporation say each of the members may not engage in other business activities that materially interferes with the members and officers' services to the corporation, competes with nutraceuticals, or any personal investment activities in enterprises that directly compete with the corporation. And that only mentions nutraceuticals. It then goes on to say, it has been agreed that the business will require census from partners regarding all major or material business decisions. For further clarification, any business decisions such as divestiture of stock, pledge of assets or shares, loans, additional insurances of shares, plant property, and equipment obligations, intellectual property, or assignments or things that a reasonable person would consider to be material to business will require the consent of all partners. But it doesn't clearly state all products. And they state Clark is like the business dude who has amassed wealth. So wouldn't that be in there? Which has always been my question from the beginning. The question and the reason all of this is kind of a mess is because it is not specifically clear. The Westbrooks are going to say that this says nutraceuticals here. That's specifically clear. Swanson's going to say this email says global beauty brand, and that's our understanding. And then the Westbrooks are going to say, yeah, well, then why wasn't it in the articles of incorporation and bylaws? Because that wasn't the understanding, which is why this whole thing is such a mess. And then because this lawsuit brought large amounts of allegations and shade, and dragged all the bi-sister stuff in it. It wasn't just a derivative lawsuit. It had a lot of other strenuous information in it. Then everything just popped the fuck off. All right. I don't think that is attached as an exhibit to this lawsuit, but we'll see as we get down to the bottom. I wonder if this one is signed. Still not signed by Mr. Smith. It was signed by Swanson, but still not signed by Mr. Smith. You've got to sign them. Exhibit B. This is the Perkins Coie letter from Tati, and this is to the Perkins Coie lawyer for Tati and James regarding Halo. I'm writing on behalf of Clark Swanson to demand that Tati and James address and resolve the damage caused to Swanson as a result of their breaches of duty to Swanson and Halo. So this is the beginning of the derivative suits. You have to make a derivative demand before you can bring a derivative suit. So like the one partner that's like, hey, stop doing this. It's messing with the company. That person has to tell the other members, hey, stop doing this. So if they want to call it a settlement demand, I think it's a derivative demand. Potato, it's still litigation. This letter serves as a shareholder demand. It says it. This letter serves as a shareholder demand of the controlling officers and directors of Halo to initiate litigation to recover restitution damages and other relief. Right, because it's a derivative lawsuit and you have to make a demand. This is that demand. This is like step one in the lawsuit. It's like, I want to bring a lawsuit derivatively. In California, step 1, I have to make this demand. Step 2, I can bring a lawsuit. Well, there's time that has to elapse for, conversation and what have you. But this is clearly litigation because this is the first step in litigation. So all of this is litigation. So anything said within this, it can be false and defamatory. It's still covered by litigation privilege. I'm going to slow down and say why I keep saying that, and then I'll get back to this letter. Defamation has to be an unprivileged statement. Statements made in these letters in the course of litigation and in these lawsuits in the course of litigation are privileged by the litigation privilege. They're made in the course of litigation. Now, there can be other fallout from making false statements in litigation, in lawsuits. There can be other issues. You can have a judge be like, hey, lawyer, at a sanctions hearing, why did you make these statements if you didn't have reasonable belief that your, sworn declaration had evidentiary support? There can be other fallout, but a defamation lawsuit is not part of that. And we've covered some of the other fallouts with regards to lawyers being sanctioned and such. But with regard to what is in documents for litigation, these documents themselves, what's said in them, are covered by litigation privilege. Therefore, they're not unprivileged statements. Therefore, you can't even get to the first part of defamation. So, Mr. Swanson demands that Halo initiate litigation for at least the following. It says, because it's Perkins Coie and they know what the fuck they're doing. And they said all the things you need to say so that you can go ahead with your derivative lawsuit. Swanson demands that Halo Beauty initiate litigation for at least the following causes of action based on the facts determined below. 1, breach of fiduciary duty. 2, negligence. 3, fraudulent misrepresentation. I imagine that this is going to list out everything that we have just rehashed and everything that we have gone through and everything that's in the other lawsuit. Let's see. In the fall of 2016, Swanson and his friend James Westbrook and his then girlfriend Tati decided to develop a nutraceuticals product. Westbrook offered that she could market such a product on her YouTube channel. This goes through, at that time, Mr. Swanson was already an accomplished entrepreneur. This goes through all of it. This goes through all the things. Founding member of FlavoCure. Holds degrees in economics from Pepperdine. This is all in the lawsuit. So when I say reiterated, this on glance is all of the stuff that is in that lawsuit. So this is them listing out everything that became the LA lawsuit that we've already covered. Things like the Westbrooks' poor credit history, including a personal bankruptcy, meant Inside Out Beauty Labs had to rely on Swanson's personal credit to secure lending and e-commerce facilities. Mr. Swanson even used his personal credit to lease Westbrook a Maserati Gran Turismo worth almost $200,000 for his daily driver. I mean, the shade goes both ways in both of these lawsuits. The shade very well goes both ways. This is all stuff that is in the Los Angeles lawsuit, and we don't need to rehash it because it was just rehashed in this lawsuit too. But this is the demand letter. This is literally what's in the bylaws. They're saying this is what's in the LA lawsuit. Consensus of partners. This is all from the LA lawsuit. This is getting into the business venture, the running down of the business venture, the allegations that they kind of took the 50% away. These are the legal claims. This is your heads up. This is all the stuff. This is all the stuff. Swanson is entitled to 1/3 of the enterprise value of Tati Beauty. Mr. Westbrook estimated pre-launch that the company was worth $50 to $100 million in a sale. Cross-checks of recent sales of similar businesses show this estimate's reasonable. Similar businesses have sold for multiples ranging from 5 to 12 times the company's revenue. Assuming Tati Beauty's revenue is $16 million, a reasonable valuation would be between $80 and $192 million. Halo Beauty should be entitled to all of the Westbrooks' share of the business, and Swanson, as a 1/3 owner of Halo, would be entitled to 1/3 of that value, $26.6 to $64 million. To avoid litigation and enforce rights, Mr. Swanson will compromise his claims and demands payment to him of $30 million plus the transfer of all shares in Halo Beauty Inc. and membership interest in Halo Beauty Partners. Well, now we know why they're in a lawsuit. Swanson's demand was $30 million plus Halo Beauty. and membership interest in Halo Beauty Partners in his name. Alternatively, Swanson demands that Halo Beauty Inc. initiate litigation against the Westbrooks to recover damages. Please let me know no later than August 10th, 2020 if this matter can be resolved for the terms above. The answer, well, we'll see what the answer is. It's probably Exhibit C. The answer from Gibson Dunn is what we're not going to do. What we're not going to do is pay you $30 million. Well, at least it clears it up. Do y'all feel more clear? $30 million? Do you all feel clear now as to why we're in this litigation? It feels like we now know why we're all here. We're gathered here today because the Westbrooks did not want to pay Swanson $30 million. This is why, in my opinion, we are gathered here today. That was the initial demand before the LA lawsuit was filed. The LA lawsuit was filed, and then it was like a clown car of litigation where it's just like litigation everywhere. Ugh. All right, so this letter is from Gibson Dunn, from Douglas Fuchs. Mr. Fuchs, when we say fucks, it's because we curse on this channel. It's not out of disrespect. You work for Gibson Dunn. Clearly, you're a very smart attorney. But you know, it's meant with jest. Factual background. The Westbrooks collaborated with Swanson to develop a nutraceutical company. Your August 3rd letter acknowledges that Halo Beauty, originally called Inside Out Beauty Labs, was created to develop nutraceuticals product that would provide beauty benefits to its takers. Swanson, Westbrook, and Westbrook, collaboratively partners, had specific areas of expertise in which they expect to continue. This was all listed out in the response that we covered from the LA lawsuit and the motion to dismiss. A lot of this was covered in that. And then some of these things snuck in to documents in other litigation too. Like we saw some of these things alluded to in the KJ defamation suit because some of those statements overlapped with statements in this suit. So this goes on with Westbrook being one of the top beauty influencers in the world, was responsible for packaging, branding, and marketing. Marketing the product to consumers through what Mr. Swanson acknowledged was a vibrant and very successful YouTube channel with millions of viewers. It was anticipated that Swanson would provide half of the necessary capital to build the business and was expected to oversee day-to-day. Swanson received 50% equity, the Westbrooks each 25%. They then go in to talk about Swanson's repeated failures to perform his responsibilities combined with Mr. Swanson's financial situation led to restructuring of the partnership. Again, this letter that is now attached to this lawsuit, which is now a public document, that all of the documents are now public. They're now attached to a filed lawsuit with a case number. So now it's all public record. So now it's all very much part of a public lawsuit, which is, it's always been part of litigation, but now it's actually like in the court record of public documents litigation. So okay. It's just like it's just highlighting the whole thing. They talk about Swanson leveraging his purported wealth and past business success, insisted he received 50% equity, and that he would be heads down on Halo Beauty full-time with a commitment of soul, sweat, brains, and capital. That's in the Nevada suit too. They say, unfortunately, this proved to be one of the many false statements. And then they go ahead with the allegations and shade. Mr. Swanson held himself out to be a multimillionaire who had resources, vision, and business acumen to build a billion-dollar company. But the Westbrooks later learned that Swanson was not who he held himself out to be. Swanson had to borrow half of his $200,000 initial capital contribution from someone else. They say a fact that he hid from the Westbrooks. Swanson in his lawsuit said, "I did not hide it. It was a smart business move to borrow liquid capital as opposed to selling things." This gets into Mr. Rajad, the third party who deposited the money directly into the Halo Beauty account, which he didn't address. They also didn't address that the Westbrooks learned through an online search that Mr. Rajad was the son of an Indonesian coal tycoon. How did we not address that? I'm so curious. Maybe because it's a footnote. They talk about Swanson not being unreliable, but was erratic and at times, they say, unethical. In early 2017, Westbrook received a disturbing email from Clark Swanson's brother, Craig, asserting that Swanson had created a fictitious online persona impersonating the Westbrook's personal assistant. Craig explained that his brother, this exhibit 7, we're going to see if the exhibits are attached. Craig explained that his brother was pretending to be a woman named Vivian Sinclair and was engaging in a manipulative and deceptive effort to procure work purportedly on behalf of the Westbrooks at a discounted rate. Craig warned that Swanson, his own brother, had a propensity for making bizarre, grandiose statements that are done simply to leverage his position and involvement. Let's see if the exhibits are attached, because that was exhibit, 7? So there should be at least 7 exhibits. We'll go through these again. I'm going to pull the 400 pages of the other lawsuit and see what is in and what is out, because I'm curious as to how we cut 200 pages from this lawsuit. Like, I'm very curious, and I know you guys have questions. So let's see if these exhibits are here. This was the one that had like the pictures of Swanson posting on social media, like pictures of Jeffree Star's car and like making Jeffree Star awkward and text messages. That was all the receipts attached to this. Swanson's claim defies logic. Fine. So this is their recitation to the demand. Let's see if we get, this again talks about Swanson's attempt to expand the scope of Halo Beauty by claiming it's all inclusive is misplaced. This is in the Westbrooks response to the Swanson lawsuit in California. And that's exactly what this letter was. It's like, okay, well, if that's going to be your lawsuit, that letter you sent us, the derivative claim, then this is what our response is going to be to it. So everything's out on the table and we know what's going on. So that's really what the sum and substance of this was. But it was this. Mr. Swanson was not only unreliable, they allege, but his inappropriate behavior also threatened Halo Beauty's business relationships. On one occasion, Swanson embarrassed the Westbrooks by agitating Jeffree Star. So exhibit 33. So there's at least 33 exhibits. Let's see if they're in here. I'm trying to see the end number of exhibits so we can see. These are some of the same allegations that are in the Nevada suit. Swanson failed to make state sales tax payments. They're alleging exhibit 43. That's alleged in the Nevada lawsuit. So these allegations continue on throughout the course of litigation. And the exhibits to this letter from Mr. Fuchs, the 43 odd whatever exhibits, are not included. Exhibit D, settlement communication regarding Halo Beauty dispute from September 24th. So this would have come after the Fuchs letter. And that has changed from a derivative demand to now being a settlement demand from Gibson Dunn. I'm writing at Clark's request to make one last attempt to resolve this short of litigation. I think the most significant obstacle we face is your client's refusal to acknowledge the deal they made with Clark on his patio in Marina del Rey. Contrary to what you are being told, there was no discussion of Klonopin on the patio. Okay. There was no discussion of how Clark was not dedicating his time to the business. There was no discussion about supposed erratic behavior. I know this because the conversation was recorded by Swanson with the Westbrooks' consent. Question answered. They say it was consensual. If this matter is going to be resolved short of litigation, they need to acknowledge the truth and their liability to Clark. We have the recording transcribed. I have listened to the entire recording myself. Below are excerpts that prove Clark's complaint and directly contradict the Westbrook story. First, Tati and James explicitly promised to make Halo Beauty her exclusive brand in exchange for more equity. Tati Westbrook, and this is for you guys. You guys see it how you see it. This is what's alleged. They're alleging it's recorded and that this is a transcript from the recording. So where I'm at is fine. If I'm 25% of the business, that's fine. I'll shill the vitamins. I'll put my name on it, but I'm going to fucking launch other products too. Where I would feel more comfortable is if this was an actual brand where I felt like I was a part of it. Interpret as you will. Clark Swanson, I understand. Tati Westbrook, instead of just a little, portion of it on the side because I want to build something gigantic. Swanson, okay, let's agree on this. I hear what you're saying. I first of all really appreciate your candor. Tati Westbrook, I've lost sleep over this. I'm just like, my interpretation. Tati Westbrook, there's ellipses, so I don't know what happened there. This is why it's hard with transcripts, because if stuff is cut, it's hard to get the full context of the thing because context matters. But this is what they're saying. Tati Westbrook, I've not even talked to you about this. I trust you. I trust you. I want to build a really great brand. Now my name's on it. I need really smart, capable people that are going to help me expand and help all of this happen. As you know, whether it is into a wet line or cosmetics or skincare, there's so much we can tap into. And I would prefer that it's under an umbrella than just do vitamins and then me go over here. So I think that's added value to the table as well. We don't know what was said after that because there's ellipses. I'm 100% good to go to shut that conversation down. If we're all in agreement, if we feel good about it, I feel much happier than before. And I know you will be. I hope you'd feel like we're ready to build a brand. Yeah, all right. And not just a fucking bottle of vitamins, but the whole thing. Yeah, if we're going to do it that way, I agree. So this then should be memorialized clearly in the updated articles of incorporation and bylaws. That should all be there. James Westbrook said, I think he would. I think he will do it. He's the counter argument to what you guys are saying. This was all in that other lawsuit. Tati says, James Westbrook said, but the nutraceuticals is the line. Right. The skincare is the line. Right. Cosmetics is the line. Yeah. Second, Miss Westbrook bragged about her ability to sell shit products. This was in the lawsuit as well, in the LA lawsuit. I think we all have value. And I know I have to say, I'm sitting here as the silent person in the room who hasn't really been involved in this discussion the two of you had. Ellipses. I want to know what my value is because I'm not happy and what I bring to the table is enormous. Well, didn't they say in the lawsuit, Tati didn't bring up that she was displeased? I mean, it sounds like there was at least some conversation of that. Clark says, I know it. Tati says, and that's what everyone wants in a business right now is someone that can grab these millions of customers because I'm seeing it with my friends. I know what's around the corner. I know what's coming and it's happening right now. Even in the vitamin world, it's all happening. I know as far as our repeat customer, it doesn't matter. What I put my name on is going to work. It's going to sell, period. Because of the 7 years I put into building an audience. Clark says, if you have a good product, Tati said, it doesn't even matter. I could have a shit product, gummy bear hair blowing up. It's biotin in a fancy bottle. So there's a little bit more to that context than was actually in the LA lawsuit. I could go to them, boom, sell it. People will buy it because the way social media is. And I have the kind of knowledge in social media that people cannot turn to anywhere else. They say third, she had knowledge that Clark was working for Hairlow Beauty. This was all contained within the lawsuit. So we're not going to go over it again because that was in there. It's like, I see you working. You guys are doing the work right now. You're involved. I see you working. I see you working. And continuing on with this transcript of them laying out, hey, this is our position of the case. I only scrolled back because it looked like it wasn't signed, which was just curious. Exhibit E it looks like the transcript of the whole 2-hour conversation. We should have had this conversation earlier because Tati and I have it every day. In Audible, I came out sideways and exploded. You know what I'm saying because I've been suppressing it. We're both just really bothered about it and upset about the equity split. Didn't the lawsuit say that they didn't bring up, maybe they said they didn't bring up Clark's work. So this is then from page 98 to 206 transcript of that call that we are not going to go through today because we've already been an hour and 45 minutes in. Hi, chat. Let's get into questions. I'm sure you have questions. I have questions. I'm sure you have comments. I have questions. I'm going to try to get to the super chats I know that I missed. Y'all. So this is not going to end anytime soon. We know that Clark wants now, or at least we know what he wanted at the time that he sent the demand, $30 million in ownership of the company. We know that whatever conversation was recorded and transcribed and that it's Clark's position that, look, you made this promise, and that it's the Westbrooks position through all of their legal documents that, look, the business operating agreement doesn't say that. It's interesting to me that the operating agreement's not attached here. We have the operating agreement attached to other documents that I've covered because it was admitted or it was attached to other filings by the Westbrooks in the LA case. It just It okay. I mean, it's two sides that see things very differently. So it's very curious to me. Uncovering hypocrisy. Is California a two-party consent state? It is, but remember, this was not a phone call. This was an in-person meeting, and the letter from the attorney says, well, the Westbrooks consented. So that's what the attorney from Perkins Coie is, or from Gibson Dunn, no, Perkins is representing, or Gibson, I forget which one are for Clark, or Clark hired in this. The attorneys for Clark in their letter said, the letter that was attached to this newest lawsuit said that it was consensual. It was an in-person recording, so likely they would have been able to see it, but those would have to be perfected. So if that was all going to come in evidence, then there would have to be like a chain of custody. They would have to be able to prove that it wasn't altered or manipulated in any way, that things weren't cut out of it in any way. So there's a long way to go before any of this comes into evidence. This is all, again, allegations and shade as lawsuits are. Oh my. We're like almost 2 hours in, and the thing I didn't say is to do the YouTube things. So if you guys haven't done the YouTube things, go ahead and do the likey, subscribey things. I wanted, as I'm pulling up the super chats, I want to just give you kind of my brief thoughts on this. It seems like both sides are kind of dug in. Both sides have a very clear argument at this point of what's going on. Swanson's clear allegations are that the Westbrooks are misrepresenting things, that the Westbrooks tricked him out of his ownership share and promised that everything Tati ever did would be under this one company. The Westbrooks are saying that's not true. We reduced the ownership share because you didn't bring the money to the table that you said you were going to bring, and that you weren't doing the things you said you were going to do, and that you were missing targets. Those are their allegations. So there's very much more. They're just kind of locked horns on how they see things, which is literally what a jury can decide down the road, is which side of the thing is the way that it is. But this part of the lawsuit filed in King County, Washington, is all, from my perspective, coming out of operative facts from the business partner lawsuit, the original lawsuit in LA. It's all from those conversations in leading up to the derivative suit, and then Tati's comment about that lawsuit with her business partner in her 1 year later video. That lawsuit should have been, I think, my opinion, filed as an amended complaint to the derivative lawsuit in Los Angeles. I imagine Tati's lawyers at some point will go into Washington and be like, there's a lawsuit with these parties and these operative facts in this other state, and this looks to be form shopping due to lack of a anti-SLAPP statute. I don't know. Maybe they won't. That would be my thoughts of how that will play out. It's very interesting to see. This is not going to end quickly. This is going to be a lot. It will be very interesting. I'm going to go through the transcript, and if I see something in the transcript where I'm like, that's the thing, I get it, I'll cover it and tell you. Because I have not gone through, because, we haven't gotten there yet. We haven't gone through the entire phone call transcript between the two of them, because what I'd like to do is go through the phone call transcript. This is future work. Go through the phone call transcript, go through the first complaint that was filed that was over 400 pages, and see what was changed between the complaint and the first amended complaint, and then take a look at the business formation documents that were filed in response to the business partner lawsuit, and look and see if the business formation documents reflect what's in that conversation. But in business, there's like, none of this feels like a gotcha to me. None of this is like, here it is, because you have iterations of conversations. And then once those are memorialized into writing, then you have the understanding. But that's going to be part of what comes up in the Nevada suit too, is the Nevada suit is regarding part of it. the confidentiality of business and a conversation that was had. So on one hand, the Westbrooks are like, well, this conversation is our understanding, but this other conversation is not our understanding. And so those two things will have to be reconciled. This is going to drag witnesses in on whether Clark was disseminating information or not, because he's saying that he wasn't. The Westbrooks are like, you were. Here's the lawsuit. You've got, KJ on video saying, I had sources. My sources were the Westbrooks, or Clark Swanson with regard to the Westbrooks. I gave the Westbrooks that information. And then shortly thereafter, like a month later, you get this Nevada lawsuit saying this was our business partner and this is the things that we're alleging he was doing. Oh, all right. Super chats. And then we'll get into some more questions. MSC said, how many more lawsuits do you think are going to be filed in this matter? Well, this lawsuit should be part of the LA lawsuit, and the litigation should stay under the umbrellas of those other two, I think. Matt Bond said, I have a couple of boxes of aspirin to help with the headache from smashing your head on the desk. I didn't smash it too hard. Anna said, seems like Clark is the new name for the male Karen. Psychedelia said 1 year later was posted 6/17. So interesting again that the initial lawsuit was filed on 6/18. So I also want to see if because now we've got the First Amendment complaint. I want to see if the original complaint, the complaint talked about 1 year later, because that's in this complaint. And I'll be interested to see if that was added to this First Amendment complaint that was filed later. So that's a party. Cat B2 said this lawsuit has so many irrelevant points. XD, it's perfect for bingo card. It's just shade, no argument. It's a lot of shade. This lawsuit has a lot of conclusory statements where it's just like, because of this, then this. But there are some things missing, like what the damage is. I don't take their argument that Clark is not a public figure, because I think at a minimum, and maybe most appropriately, truly, he is at least a limited purpose public figure with regard to this business entity, because of the worldwide coverage that he alleges with regard to the business partner lawsuit. It was newsworthy, which makes all of this also newsworthy. You can see they alleged a whole bunch of videos that had hundreds of thousands of views. It's newsworthy to somebody. Uncannery said, why is everyone big mad about the stuff you read in the document? Like you're just reading. I don't think they get the point of your channel. I mean, look, public records are public records. You're allowed to read documents. You're allowed to have sources. You're allowed to cover things. And this is me covering things. That is what I do. I generally stick to things in public documents. The litigation document that was provided to me, again, I was comfortable with it. It was a litigation document, and I made very clear that those were not statements of fact. Those were the other side of the story. The Clark has his allegations, the Westbrook have their allegations. We're in the middle of all the allegations going, allegations and shade. But nobody has said any of these facts are true, because we're in the middle of a lawsuit with all these things. We're parsing through lawsuits. Allegations and shade. There are no facts proven yet. We haven't gotten that far. Teresa Minnesota said, can you say jurisdiction? And JC said, reviving the jurisdiction drinking game for the win. Van Luke, hello, Van Luke said, again, sweet baby Jesus. I wonder if there will be more tea spilled in this lawsuit. This lawsuit, you guys let me know in the chat. This lawsuit feels like cold tea to me. You let me know. Does this lawsuit feel like cold tea? Is there new tea? Is there hot tea? It feels like cold tea. When we're rehashing Bye Sister, it just feels like cold tea, especially after everything that's come out with regard to James Charles. Like, oof. Heidi K said, Emily, you fabulous human being. Thank you. I've had a day from hell. I am sorry. I'm drinking a Black Russian. Delish. I loved the comment you put in Tati's first video back. It's nowhere to be seen now. What happened? It was so supportive. Oh, I don't know. I have not looked. Van Luke said, yes, it feels like cold tea, iced tea, stale tea, lukewarm tea, cold tea, cold tea, not iced tea. Yeah, it just went cold. It wasn't intentionally iced. It feels like moldy tea, iced tea, lukewarm tea. It feels like rendition. And this is the thing. This is a lot of what was in the LA lawsuit, which is why I say this is the same operative facts as the other one. And that's why when you file it, you can't just pick another state and be like, oh, this state has a better law for defamation. It's out of the same operative facts. This, I think, should be in LA with the other one. That's what I think. Nothing new to see here. Yeah, right? Nothing new to see here. Techno, we're good. So the tea is cold, stale tea. I love seeing what you guys are saying. It's tea made with tea bags. Old and yucky. It's just a bad rerun. I mean, it kind of feels like a bad rerun. So season 3 is not really a season. Season 3 is where they jump the shark, maybe. All right, let me get to a few more of these super chats. Little Kitty Cat said, let's send a cease and desist to another lawyer who will definitely listen to us without question. I mean, there's definitely questions. But again, if there's a reason somebody's like, something you said was awfully not true, okay, I will absolutely evaluate it. Like there's no, I will have that conversation. But if it's like the things in the documents were not true, and so you can't read the documents, that's not how that works. Kristen said, this stream is Emily hitting Swanson with her own "let's go, baby, I know the law." I mean, not intentionally. I really was curious what was in this lawsuit because now there's 3. I mean, there were 4 and now there's 3. It's just wild. Uncannery said, I'm late to the party, but for the first time in forever. For the first time in forever. God, you're trying to trigger me into singing Frozen. I see what you did there. Well played. Happy to see your face. Love and greetings from Columbus, Ohio. Rachel, question. Don't you think it will settle? I'm thinking most civil suits of this type too. Most civil suits settle. Yes. But everybody's real dug in. Big mad dug in. I don't know how these parties will come together. I think it should happen. I think there's probably room to settle. But if Clark is like on his side demanding $30 million and the Westbrooks are on their side going, no, that's not what's happening. I don't know where the middle is on that if nobody's willing to budge. So it is going to be hard with 3 lawsuits, I think, for the parties to come together because they had that opportunity at the beginning, but there will have to be compromise to get there. And it's just Amy Yost, 3 lawsuits, 1 cease and desist, and 2 middle fingers, monuments to the gods of speculation. Matt Bond, how was your Pogo Fest? I'll get there in a second. Annetta said, first time catching a live. Welcome. Mindy B. Oh, that was, why is my phone is just, I forgot to put it on Do Not Disturb and it's just buzzing. And my husband was texting. My husband is off with the kiddos because they had to go to an appointment. It is our wedding anniversary. So we were, so he was texting about that, which is very sweet. Mariko said, question, all of this time and expense, can't the judge force them into arbitration? It depends on the clauses in the operating agreement. The Westbrooks have filed their newer lawsuit in Nevada. Nevada has like business court that they can go to business court. But if there's no arbitration clause, the judge can have them go to mediation as a part of litigation. It's normally like, hey, there's a mediation date, go try to resolve this and then come back. But with the multiple suits, we know that the suit in Los Angeles isn't even coming back into court till September because the courts in LA are totally clusterfucked because of COVID. So that's not even coming back until September to be heard on the motion to dismiss because they're still trying to move the LA case into Nevada. So will all of this just end up in Nevada into the business court and then maybe go to mediation? Maybe. Oh. Rier said, I can imagine that they would want to settle since 30 million and he didn't want the whole Halo Beauty as well. Yes, it sounds like he wanted all of the shares of Halo Beauty as well. That's what it sure sounded like in that letter. But I can pull that up. Hold on real quick. Cause that last demand, and that was in the closer to, That was in the closer demand letter. Let's go back up. That's Exhibit B, I think. We haven't perused this as many times as some of the other things. Let's see. To avoid litigation and enforce his rights, Swanson will compromise his claims, that means settle, and demands for a payment to him of $30 million plus the transfers of all the shares in Halo Beauty Inc. and membership interest in Halo Beauty Partners LLC to his name. Alternatively, Swanson demands that Halo Beauty Inc. initiate litigation. Halo Beauty Inc. being the operative LA company of Halo Beauty. There's multiple entities involved. So, yeah. Jessica, how is this different from the other suit? They added defamation claims for Swanson personally. So Swanson as a human individual suing the Westbrooks as individuals for defamation, false light, invasion of privacy, and those sorts of things. Those could all be tacked on because Swanson as an individual is suing in the LA suit and the Westbrooks are being sued in the LA suit. These claims could be added because you would just put like plaintiff Swanson versus Westbrooks. They're all coming out of the same operative facts. So this should go into that for sure. Let me get to some more questions. Mary says, cold brewed tea, my dude. I mean, I feel like the tea was hot at some point. The transcription is hot tea and Tati's comments on selling products. JJ, that's a very fair point because those were alleged in the LA suit and now they are transcribed in here again. Those are things that aren't even going to come into evidence until they have proper foundation laid. If you want to hear my thoughts on evidence being admitted, you can watch me talk about Lil Nas X passing a shoe around a jury pool in his latest trailer. But it has to have a foundation laid. The evidence has to be, unaltered. It has to be the best evidence of a thing. So the Westbrooks would have to have someone examine any recording and make sure that the recording didn't have parts missing or alterations and things like that before it could ever come into evidence. This is the lawyer saying, no, we have you in 4K is what they're trying to say. We have it recorded. We know what you said. We have the entire transcript here, and I will go through the whole thing because there's a lot of ellipses. Those ellipses could change context, but those ellipses also could just be, ineligible or not ineligible, inaudible noise, something irrelevant, and it could just be to keep the conversation in space. So it's unknown until we go through the whole thing. So I will do that at some point, and I will look at the other one as well. Listening to this while crocheting a small blanket, I've been rage crocheting the last few stitches because of Clark's PS. Don't rage crochet. Wicked Westbrooks, I said that at the beginning. This was sent from Swanson's attorney as a exhibit for me of the alleged defamatory statements that the Westbrooks had made regarding Clark. This was a look. This is our side of the thing. This is why we're saying that the statements of theirs are defamatory. But then they said that the statements in the August 28th, 2020 letter were defamatory, but then they put that as an exhibit in this. So now it's all public record. So it's all part of this litigation. So now it's all part of all the litigation and all public record. So it's still in there, I imagine. And I'm curious to see if the exhibits are attached to the first complaint, because I imagine that they are. Christy said my state had enough serious problems to deal with right now without dealing with their problems. I mean, right now it's just the one lawsuit in the state, and they do have a business court, so that's good. Anika said, question, why on earth would he choose to file this as a new lawsuit? It just feels like throwing away money to me. Is there a legal benefit for him? This is Emily lawyer speculation. In Los Angeles, and I worked as a research attorney in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, there's a pretty strong anti-slap and anti-slap statute, which is we talked about this with regard to the Keemstar Romeo Lacoste lawsuit and others. It's like, hey, you're trying to silence me through litigation for doing something I'm allowed to do. And for Tati, I think the argument here would be I'm allowed to comment on what's happening in my own life. I'm a public figure. I'm allowed to share my opinion. So the stuff with regard to the video, Tati would say, you are trying to silence me through litigation from exercising my First Amendment right. I'm allowed to comment on my own life, and I'm allowed to share my perspective and opinion on how things are. I stated them as my opinion. That is how I'm feeling. It is not defamatory. You're using a lawsuit to silence me. And in California, those laws are quite strong. In Washington, they don't have a statute. The way that statute works is it stops litigation, and that is dealt with first. And the case can be thrown out very early on in litigation before discovery starts, without ever going to a jury, without even going to summary judgment. It throws it out kind of on its face because, look, this is a, strategic action against participation. But in Washington, that statute doesn't exist. It was ruled unconstitutional, which we all learned together when we covered it during the defamation case that was filed in Washington with the Westbrooks, Halo, and KJ. So that might be why they chose to not file this there. The Westbrooks have already availed themselves of, no, they haven't really availed themselves of jurisdiction in Los Angeles because they filed a motion to dismiss to move that case to Nevada. I would have to look at Nevada's SLAPP statute. I imagine that they have one there too, or this could have been filed where James lives and where the company is in Nevada instead of Washington. I imagine the perceived beneficial laws is why it was there. So that is my speculation as to why they filed it, even though it feels like it's same operative facts to me. It feels like it should be part of the other lawsuit. If the other lawsuit goes over to Nevada, then it does, but it feels like it should be part of that. So, whew, yep. The lawsuit due to greed. I mean, who's greedy exactly? Well, we don't know. This is everybody fighting over, look, more money, more problems. More money, more problems. Van Luke, nope. If anything, split the money, dissolve the company. Tati can make up the another, and so can he if he wants. I wish it could be that easy. I mean, having to dissolve companies and stuff can be a giant pain in the butt. And I didn't see, with regard to this defamation suit, I didn't see the allegations of damages. Like, there has to be allegations of damage. We saw allegations of damages in the KJ suit. I don't see any allegations of how Clark was damaged here and what those actual damages were, other than them saying we're damaged. Well, you can't just declare it to be true. There has to be some facts, and the operating facts here are Carmageddon and Dramageddon 2 and receipts. Like, that's what's in the operative facts. Kim said, I'm confused with all the he said, she said. Mm-hmm. Lady Araya, with each of these lawsuits, is there one judge who deals with all of this, or is it multiple judges who now have to deal with these intertwined lawsuits? Right now, there are 3 judges. There's the one in the Nevada suit, the one in the business partner suit in LA, and this one. I think that the Westbrooks will probably say that this is not in the right form and venue, and that this is the same operative facts as the other suit. So yeah. Heather said, you checked the trademark for Halo and it didn't mention makeup. Did that matter? It mattered to me. Whether it will matter to a jury, we will see. It's something that will come up in conversation, I'm sure. It's like, well, who filed the trademarks? And it had seemed from the previous filings that Swanson was in charge of filing a lot of that intellectual property stuff. So if he's filing it, he knows what category he's filing in. And if I recall, those were filed just in the nutraceuticals. And there was a lot of conversation just about nutraceuticals. And the updates were just, you can't be in another business that competes with nutraceuticals. And I don't know, will a jury find a transcript of a phone call to hold more weight than the agreement and the operating agreement and the bylaws of a company if it gets that far? Or at summary judgment, will a judge go, these are the bylaws? And it's not as if the bylaws were written by James Westbrook. From the previous filings, the bylaws were created by Swanson, who by this lawsuit had all the business acumen. He's very, very successful. They say it over and over and over. He's a businessman. He's a veteran businessman. He's been in a lot of startups, which means he would have dealt with a lot of companies and a lot of their operating agreements and the ins and outs. So if someone is that savvy and they're creating the thing, wouldn't that person then memorialize the agreement the way it was agreed to, regardless of what a transcript of a phone call says? Wouldn't that be formally memorialized when you're talking about changing business ownership? And that's what the argument will come down to. I think of it this way. I think of it this way. We'll see. Gemma, let me pull this. Gemma said, my husband and I were married 13 years yesterday. Congratulations. Happy wedding anniversary from hot Ireland. We've got our first ever excessive heat warning. Wow, that must be a lot. Stay cool and go fill out the poll. The people in the south of the US say showering morning and night is helpful when it's excessively hot. Today is our 19th wedding anniversary, if you can believe it. Question off topic, but would you cover the Kristen Smart case? I talked about it a little bit when the new arrests were made. I believe it was in a Coffee and Cursey Words, but yes, as that gets closer, I will talk about it a little bit more. Cold cases are very interesting. And I guess it's not a cold case anymore because they've made an arrest, which is a good thing. Question about Girardi. If some of the lawyer fees were transferred to EJ, was this to avoid paying tax? I wonder if the IRS will ask the same questions. I don't know. I don't know. But either way, attorney's fees go to the law firm and then should be doled out. So either way, it's a problem. Whatever the reason was, it's a problem. And that will come up. If that's true, I think that Erica's gone a little buck wild over on the Twitter, which I caught a bit of last night. I was like, wait, what the fuck is happening on Twitter? Erica went in on Twitter. Thank you for that, NF Caps. I thought it was fun to do. I enjoyed it. Question, thoughts on the Tati quotes Swanson made sure to put into this of her trashing her own products, even if it's not ultimately evidence. This may affect her reputation in business regardless. Yes, Bree Patrick, you always ask the best questions. And yes, this feels like all of these lawsuits at this point feel like this is how it feels to me. It feels like Clark is pissed that Tati's return to YouTube where she mentioned him pissed him off, and that this lawsuit is going to rehash a la Gabby Hanna all the shit that was alleged in 2020 to potentially, my perspective, either damage her reputation or defend his reputation or both. Like, you know what? Mutually assured destruction. Clark doesn't seem to care in these filings about damaging Halo Beauty going forward. It seems like, okay, well, we're just going to tear it all down. That's how I read these. Do not care, burn it down. But that's how I felt about the first lawsuit too, because there was so much shade in it. It was like, okay, well, if you're using this lawsuit to try to damage Tati's reputation, in addition to bringing the lawsuit, doesn't that ultimately just damage Halo more? I don't know. Look, people's motivations for things are their own, right? You never know what people's motivation are, but vengeance can be a strong motivator. You know, really honestly believing I am right and you are wrong, and screaming from the rooftops, everyone see it my way, is a strong motivator. We've seen that with Gabby Hanna across the internet. No, you all see this one way. I see this way. Why don't you see it my way? And some of that's in these lawsuits too. Like, why don't you see it the way I see it? But that will be for a jury to decide if these lawsuits go to trial. It will be for someone else to decide, because these two parties clearly see it differently. Rayer said it feels like Swanson and Swanson's lawyers are picking and choosing what to include of the transcript. Well, they attached the entire thing. They attached the entire transcript. So the entire transcript was attached and available to the lawsuit that was filed. But they're going to pick the parts that fit their narrative. This is writing in advocacy. The lawyers don't have to write fairly on both sides. They are not neutral parties. The lawyers are like, I am writing this to advocate zealously and vigorously advocate for the position of my client. So they are going to pick the parts that are the most beneficial to them. That is what advocacy in writing is. This is our side and the other side's wrong and you suck and this is what we're saying, which is why litigation privilege exists, because zealous advocacy is a thing. And the lawyers are saying, hey, this is what our client's position of the case is. This is what we've seen. Imagine if you started having, like Clark Swanson trying to sue Tati's lawyers and Tati trying to sue Clark's lawyers. It's like, well, you said I said this and you said I said that. No, because this is what happens. Litigation's covered by other rules, but defamation does not play here. So it's just a lot. Question, is it just me, but adding all the YouTube drama seems high school and unnecessary? It's rehashed. I understand why they did it in the other suit. Lawsuits have really become half lawsuit, half PR, half like get our story out there where we can't be sued for defamation. But rehashing it in this way was odd to me too. Because if you think that if Clark Swanson and his team thought that Tati had defamed him in her return video or in her lawyer's settlement letter, then that's all born out of the course of the other lawsuit and should just go there. Halo didn't trademark makeup, right? I'm Justin Glenn. I don't recall that they trademarked makeup. Hold on. We'll double check. We'll just double check it. Because I think Tati Beauty did, but I don't think Halo did. And then I'm going to have to wrap up because it's my anniversary. Oh, and then I've got to give you guys schedule for the week. And I will post the Court of Public Opinion winners on socials. So if you guys aren't following me at the Emily D. Baker, go follow me there. I will post it there because that's where it will be. Okay, there are, let's see, what is her Halo Beauty? Her Halo Beauty out of New Jersey is an online retail store servicing a wide variety of consumer goods. All right. Halo Luxe Beauty. Let's see. Who does that belong to? Somebody out of Albuquerque. That is a beauty salon with eyelash services. Halo Hair Care and Beauty. That is the logoing. Oh, I'll just show you. I'll just show you. We'll just do it together. This is logoing for Halo Hair Care Preparations, hair care products, namely heat protection products, first use 2020, 9/22, first use in commerce 2020. This is not owned by Halo Beauty Inc. That's Halo Hair Care and Beauty. Let's see. Halo Beauty. Halo Beauty Inc. Personal care products, namely cleansers, toners, serums, creams, moisturizers, primers, masks, sprays, all for skin, hair, and nail care. So that looks like a skincare line from Halo Beauty Inc. that was filed in 2019. So it seems that skincare was contemplated under Halo Beauty, and this is owned by Halo Beauty Inc., the LA corporation that owns the intellectual property, but that is skincare products. So clearly skincare was contemplated. Halo Effect Beauty is dead. Well, let's just see what it was anyway. That was abandoned. Halo Effect Beauty LLC. This was from 2019. Hair creams, hair care lotions, hair care preparations. That might not have worked because of the Halo Hair and Beauty, but I don't know. That's speculation. Halo Beauty Inc. This is for dietary and nutritional supplements, vitamins, plant extracts, botanicals for promoting hair, nail, skin. So that is Halo Beauty Nutraceuticals. Halo Hair Care and Beauty Bar. That one's dead, and that's something else. Halo Hair Care Beauty Halo is also dead, and that was abandoned, and that's advertising services. So, yeah, Halo, it looks like contemplated a skincare line and contemplated the others, but no, that doesn't say makeup at all. Let's look real quick at Tati Beauty. And it looks like the Tati Beauty trademark it says abandoned, but for cosmetics and makeup, and that was owned by Tati Cosmetics Inc., a Washington corporation. So that says that it was abandoned. But that's the only one that came up on Tati Beauty. So anyway, but no, nothing under Halo Beauty for color cosmetics. So whether that will be instructive to a jury, I don't know. How you guys feel about it is probably how a jury feels about it. Like if you're doing this company and you filed a trademark registration for this and this, but you also contemplated this, wouldn't you just do the 3? That seems to make sense. It's not there. And those things can be very instructive to a jury down the line. Unrelated, but did you see Britney's Instagram post calling her family out? It feels like Britney finally has her Instagram back. Britney's pissed. I'm here for it. She was out driving. It looks like she may have a ring on it. I'm very interested to see what happens. Britney's court hearing yesterday, I covered for this week's podcast. I did like a quicker case brief, like condensing all the most recent stuff in the Britney case. So that'll be up this week, and that'll be up on audio first tomorrow. But yeah, Britney's new attorney is definitely like, Britney, can her attorney make the case that she's been denied due process, or is due process only apply in criminal cases? There are some things that seem to have been stripped improperly that there can be conversations about. It's very hard for me to comment on because we don't have all the information. So there's a lot I'm sure her attorney is investigating. So, all right. I'm going to get a few more questions and then we have got to get bouncing. Nutraceuticals makes me giggle every time you say it. Have a wonderful anniversary. Thank you. Nutraceuticals. Let me make sure I didn't miss any chats. It looks like I missed one up here. First time catching alive. Annetta, thank you. I think I got that one earlier, but I will double back just to make sure. Don't simp for Nightbot. Nightbot is sassy though. Isn't Nightbot sassy? Okay, so this week, here's what's coming up. On Wednesday, for the channel members in the channel enthusiast and channel advocate tier, there is a Zoom call Wednesday for all of us to chitty chat. That link will be up for everyone tomorrow. That information is up on the community tab if you are in one of those 2 tiers. So just know that is happening tomorrow. And the date for the next one is in there as well. That's going to be on a Saturday in August. I think the 21st is what I said. I will not be live on Friday. We have family in town. So I will not be live Friday. And then I am getting ready to be on vacation. So I will be back live unless literally the world ends. I intend to be back live next Tuesday for Coffee and Cursey Words. And then I will be off the following Friday and some of the following week due to travel. So we're going to have some uploaded videos for y'all here. There's going to be podcast episodes, but I will not be live as much for the rest of the month due to traveling. It's summer. It's time for a little time off. I keep meaning to put the dates in for our mods. Mods, I'm so sorry. I appreciate you. I do. I love you. You guys show the mods love. We have gone long the last couple of streams, but I also know that we're coming right up around vacation. So for me, I will be missing a few streams. I will also put it in the community tab and the about section of the channel. So you guys know we're going to miss some lives, but make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell. So if we do go live spontaneously, you know it. There have been some very spontaneous rides lately. Lots of extra content early this month. If you're in North America, the text crew will help with that. I always text the text crew when I'm going live, being like, hey, by the way, I'm going live. So make sure you do that. Krista says, just listening today, sending a hi. Emily and support to the Lawnards. Can't wait to hear you on No Filter with Zach. Yes, we are going to be recording another podcast interview. So I will have other stuff coming out. There are other podcast interviews that I've done. I've put together a playlist on the channel of me on other people's channels. It's like the Emily OPP on other people's platforms. You know, with OPP, yeah, you know me. You down with OPP, yeah. Anyway, the OPP stuff is a playlist. If you haven't seen me interviewing on other channels and having conversations about everything, those are up there. What else do I have for you? While I'm on vacation, if anything gets wild, I'll probably be on Instagram, because I'm not taking my streaming setup. The kids are very excited for vacation. It is our first vacation in well over a year, and I cannot wait. We're going to go see my family because my parents are going to be celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, and that is a very big deal. So it is going to be fun. Question, is this curiosity book? Why have I missed you on Clubhouse? Hello, Pocket Angie Tip. I have not been on Clubhouse in a while. It has been busy, so I have been missing Clubhouse too. Captain, we the Barmy. I don't know. You have a podcast. I do have a podcast. I'm the host of The Emily Show. It's a top 20 news commentary podcast, which always gives me a giggle because it's news commentary, but it's entertainment news commentary largely. Let's be real. And I love being in that category because I think there aren't a lot of purple-haired women racking up in the news commentary category. But yes, I am. Oh, I forgot to talk about GoFest. GoFest was really fun day one. My shiny luck was not as good day two, though I did get one shiny legendary. I got my shiny Carvana. And that was exciting. I also got a shiny Weismer. I was very excited. I'll post on Instagram a photo of the shinies I got during GoFest. I had a lot of fun raiding. I didn't have great raid luck. There was one very elusive Pokemon for my son and I. I was very disappointed about it. And then the storyline for Hoopa just kind of ended. And I was like, are we catching Hoopa? Are we not catching Hoopa? When are we catching Hoopa? Like, what's happening with Hoopa? I'm so confused. So Sunday was kind of like, there's a lot of raids and we got a ton of passes and that was really fun. It was nice to have everybody out raiding. I live in the country. I don't get to do a ton of raids. It was nice to go into town and raid with everybody, but it was like, are we catching Hoopa? Hoopa's on the lock screen or the entry screen into the game. And then it was like, yay. So I'm kind of disappointed by that. I didn't know, I don't know. Hoopa, when's Hoopa? Thank you, Laura, for the well wishes. I will keep you guys up to date on the schedule. But yes, there will be a few less streams for the end of the month. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled program on we'll be back to the regularly scheduled program in August. And then I'll be traveling a bit in September as well. And I'll give you the updated schedule. So again, social media, text crew if you're in North America are the best way to do it. Sending love to the mods shouldn't be spam, but Nightbot gets a little spicy. Nightbot might be jealous. I don't know how Nightbot determines spam, so no worry. Yeah, that's exactly what we should call it. The next episode of Allegations and Shade. The last time we caught Clark Swanson, he was talking to KJ, but only between August and September. It's not the spring, it's the fall. Yes. Pocket Angie, courtesy book. No, it was not a courtesy book. It was attached to a cease and desist letter. So, yes, it was a courtesy in that regard. We got it. So we have all of the lawsuit. I got Shiny Rayquaza. The Hoopa thing was odd. It was odd. Shiny Rayquaza is so cool. Shiny Rayquaza looks awesome. I did not mean the car. Hold on. I don't think I have Pogo open. If it opens quickly, I'll show you my shinies real quick. I'll show you my shinies real quick. I got a shiny Swag too. I loved my shiny Swag. CT tools. Oh, it says, thank you for an amazing GoFest. Thank you, trainers. We're delighted to see each and every one of you. We look forward to catching Hoopa is what we look forward to, Niantic. Let's be real. Let's not be crazy. Let's see. GoFest. I name all of my shinies from GoFest, so I can pull them up easily. I didn't get nearly as many as last year. Last year's GoFest, I got way more shinies, and I played the entirety of the 2 days. I got substantially more shinies from GoFest 2020 than I did for GoFest 2021, but the ones I got, I was happy with. Oh no, I got rid of them. GoFest. So GoFest, let's see. GoFest 2021, I got Shiny Dino. That was pretty cool. Yeah, this is it on the shinies. Oh, you can't see. Shiny Dino, Shiny Absol, Shiny Carvana, Shiny Weismer, and Shiny Entei. But for GoFest last year, it was literally so many shinies. Like last year's GoFest was lit for me for shinies. This year, I got shinies that I wanted, but not nearly as many. I got shiny Ponyta last year at GoFest, shiny like Groudon, just Garchomp, all kinds of shiny Durant, lots of shinies. But this year, not so. A bunch of Heatmators, these guys. But this year, not so much. Zigzagoons. I don't know. This year's GoFest, I didn't get near as many shinies, but that's all right. All right. Can we please refer to this filing as Swanson throws a tantrum or Swanson proves he's petty? I mean, we've got the business partner lawsuit. We've got the Westbrooks, Nevada lawsuit. Yeah, we've got to name this one. Business partner take two. Business partner try again. Business partner strikes back. Ooh, let's name them like Star Wars. The first one would be what? Return of the business partner, rise of the business partner. The second one would be Tati strikes back. And the third one would be what? Return of the business partner. I don't know. Does that make the Westbrooks the dark side? Maybe it does. I don't know. We definitely need to name the trilogy of lawsuits that we have going on. But the business partner suit, Tati strikes back, and the business partner rises again. You guys let me know on Twitter what you think we should name the trilogy. So let me know what we're naming the trilogy on Twitter. I just anyway. B. Richardson's, wouldn't the Westbrook have to acknowledge and consent to the recording of the conversation because California is a two-party state, so the conversation would be inadmissible? The lawyer letter said that it was consensually recorded. Hopefully that consent is on the transcript, because if the consent is recorded, it makes it much easier. If the consent is not recorded, I imagine they're going to argue over that of all of this. The revenge of Clark. So we've got like the rise of the business partner lawsuit, the Westbrooks strike back, and revenge of the Clark. Oh man. Revenge of the Clark. All right, you guys. Thank you for being law nerds. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. I will miss your faces on Friday. I will be back live here next Tuesday. Do all the YouTubey things and the likey things and the subscribey things, and I will see you in the next one. I appreciate you. I've got to go. It's been 2.5 hours. Y'all, we're getting wild with how long these live streams are going. I appreciate you. I'll see you next time. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, LawNerdsUnite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.